Man, check this out.
Your unofficial Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being weird. Yeah.
Unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
Good morning.
Raw only.
The Fan Upstate.
Are we going to start the show off with Blondie references? We might. We might.
You know,
I hate that song so much.
Contrary to popular belief, I do love Cole, but my dude is deaf. Gosh.
Which is hilarious because I just turned on the cans over here and I'm like, is Diesel a hawk? I can't hear anything.
Yeah, Diesel and I are probably about the same level as far as headphones.
And CB and I are as well.
I just usually have to maybe a centimeter with Diesel, bring it down actually.
Well, not anymore, you know. Diesel got a new chair.
Yeah, well, it's not an actual new chair, but he just he walked around.
Metaphorically, a new chair.
Because we don't get, I'm not doing that.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Howdy, y'all. And the happiest of whatever today is to you. What is it? Tuesday? It's Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, amigos and amigettes. It is wonderful to be with you today. I hope that you are having just the best day, the best week. My name is Rob Brown, and okay, I don't need to do all that. All I need to say is this, and I'm going to tell you, gonna be real tough not to wait till Thursday. Last night's Monday Night Raw ended with a banger of a segment.
And I didn't see it yet.
You haven't seen it yet?
No.
Then I shan't discuss it.
The last thing I saw this morning was Becky's right cross on
She popped the crap out of her.
She did.
They put it in slow-mo.
Yeah.
She rocked.
I feel bad for Dominic Mysterio and because he takes some beatings, and it's like, is this how he pays his dues? I don't know.
This is how you drop the "you're just here because you're the boss's son" knock. That's how you do it. You let Becky Lynch hit you on the chin with a right cross that moves your jaw from one side of the ring to the other.
Let's face it. I mean, I know you're a big Becky Lynch fan.
The man.
She's Rio with red hair, and as far as a punch goes, I mean, she weighs like 75 pounds. How much is that going to hurt?
I mean, I'm sure it didn't feel great. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a sports show lined up for you today on the Sports Talk radio station. I am Rob Brown. The other voice you hear on the opposite side of the metaphorical glass, the guy that's in charge of this show, of this station, of this building, just in charge of radio as a whole, is the great one, Lonzo.
Yeah, and, I'm here.
I understand that.
Well, it's day 2 after vacation, and I don't know about you guys, when you come back from vacation, my work piles up while I'm gone. So there's a lot of stuff that I have to do. And then we had some changes, and I had to erase someone yesterday, although I did enjoy it, but I still had to do it. And you have to go through and find any traces that person ever existed and make sure that their name is and voice is not mentioned anymore and things, because you move on. That's what you do. And I will say it's tedious, but in this case, a pleasure. And I it took a little extra time, but I think I've removed all traces. I think. So if you guys hear something, let me know so I can erase that too, because it's part of my job, and I don't want anyone else to get to. I mean, I'll take care of it.
I'm so glad Lonzo's back from vacation. I was in need of some highbrow.
I've had to erase many people. I mean, someday someone's going to get to erase me. Hopefully not anytime soon, but if I keep talking this way, who knows?
Yeah.
Look at that, 604. He ain't up yet. We haven't got the email yet.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. Let's go with that.
I'll stop doing this like next week, like maybe Wednesday, possibly.
Maybe. We'll see.
The smile on my face is genuine. That's really all that matters.
Let's get to some sprots today, shall we?
Oh, we're not gonna talk Diddy.
Wait, what's Diddy got now? What did he do?
Never mind. I should probably wait. You haven't seen? No, not Mike Venditti.
Oh
No,
it's like what happened to Diddy? I know he's last in the bracket contest, but I didn't think it was that bad.
Sean Combs.
Oh yeah.
Last I saw, he fled the country. I don't know.
Get out.
Yeah, last I saw, his jet was taken off.
I'm not gonna lie. I saw him trending last night on Twitter, and I did not pay attention.
2 of his properties were invaded. His 2 sons were arrested. Trafficking, sexual stuff related. And last I saw, and I don't know if it's real, was that he was taken off in this plane, leaving the country. But and Cat Williams is getting all kinds of pats on the back, saying that he was right.
What is Puff Daddy? P. Diddy?
Yeah.
Diddy?
That guy. Yeah, it's everywhere, dude. How have you not seen any of that?
Because I was watching basketball last night.
I know, but you're on the social medias.
I was watching basketball and wrestling last night and largely avoiding.
All right, here's a report. This was 10 hours ago. Rapper Diddy's private jet has been tracked to the Caribbean islands after his homes were raided in relation to sex trafficking investigation. The jet appeared to land in Antigua.
And also a bridge fell down in Baltimore.
Oh, dude, I have a great fear of bridges. I really do.
I didn't until now.
I don't like sitting on the bridge over 385 out here on Woodruff Road because you can feel it moving, and I don't like that. But yeah, I have mortal fear of bridges. I had a reoccurring nightmare as a child that's where I die is on a bridge, and it just it's stuck with me. So
I'm trying to figure out what happened here. Apparently, a ship of some type. Oh God!
Oh, so now you just saw it. And that's how a bridge collapses, dude. And from everything I've heard and read, they were working on the bridge, so it
got hit by a freighter ship.
Yeah, I know, but luckily there weren't a lot of cars on there. But there's
definitely cars on it.
The Coast Guard are out looking for people, and a possibility.
Oh, that's horrifying. Oh, I am sick right now.
Thank you, X-Twitter, for just spoiling the end of Raw for me.
This is so apparently it looks like, I guess, a freighter vessel lost power, tried to course correct, couldn't, took out a piling.
What was it doing all the way to that side, though? Because there was no way it was getting under that bridge.
No, it was. So it's the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore. I don't. That's just what the internet's telling me. I've never been to Baltimore, so I don't know.
I've been through it on my way to New Jersey.
Never been there, but apparently, and this looks like it's a pretty big bridge in the area. It absolutely could have fit under. I think it was heading to go into the middle of the bridge, where I can see even from this angle it would have fit. And then I guess it loses power. It loses power. The power comes back on. It tries to course correct this major freighter vessel. Tries to course correct, but unfortunately, after it course corrects, it loses power again, and this time it could not course correct before it hit the piling, and the whole damn bridge collapses, and there are most certainly cars on it.
Okay, Jennifer
terrifying.
On the stream says it's 1.6 miles long. I mean, it looks like a pretty long bridge when it goes, it goes. It's like someone knocking over an erector set.
The first time that it played through, I'm not going to lie, this is horrific. The first time that it played through, I thought it was like a movie scene, right? Like, this is Jean-Claude Van Damme away from being a movie trailer. And, oh man, it's great if it's low use right now, but because of repairs, but I'm watching semi-trucks and cars across it going one way to the other. You can see the construction vehicles stopped on the top of the bridge, which means there were definitely dudes up there doing, oh, man.
Yeah, they were talking about it earlier on Amy's show while I was setting up, and the fact that, it's not winter, but the water is really, really cold. It hasn't had a chance to warm up yet. So even if you survive
I was
the
going to
fall,
say, I don't even know if you survived the drop.
if you survive the fall, you got to deal with the cold water. So you're not going to survive long in it, probably.
Third longest span of any continuous truss in the world at 1.6 miles.
It was.
Fortunately, I mean, again, not fortunate it happened, but fortunately it happened overnight. So the bridge was at least sparse, but I just found another angle from the street next to it. And you can see on the segment that was right where the boat hit, bro, you can see headlights of cars cresting that part of the bridge and then just drop. Oh, that's horrific. Oh, dude. Well, not how I ever want a show to start at all. I mean, we got to do what we got to do. We got to do a show, but that's...
So, and I'm not trying to be morbid and go down this, but my first thought always with stuff like that is it terrorism, and are we going to see? But obviously, it looks like it was.
That's just the boat lost power, man. That's just the boat lost power, and just a tragic.
It also shows you how precarious bridges really are, and my fear is warranted. That's all I'm saying. You think. There's a lot of people drive across those things and don't think anything of it. Like, this thing's really sturdy. It's fine. Shows you it's not as sturdy as you thought.
No, listen, if you hit anything with a cruise ship, that thing's going to lose. That's just an accident. I mean, it's yes, on one hand, this country needs a massive infrastructure overhaul. On one hand, it absolutely does. I know when I was back living, obviously in Florida, we got bridges everywhere. And very frequently we had to send people out because a chunk of concrete fell off a bridge. It's like, what chunk's next? We absolutely need infrastructure reform in a massive way in this country. But on the flip side, it's not like there's an epidemic of bridges just falling into the water. You hit anything with a cruise ship, and it's gonna go. That's just a terrible accident. Terrible accident. Thoughts go up to the people of Baltimore. Oh, that makes me sick. Makes me sick. All right, well, let's do what we do. Let's carry on the best we can. We have got a lot to get to on the radio broadcast today. We got to get to this very weird Shohei Ohtani press conference from yesterday. Did you get a chance? You're smiling. Did you get a chance to catch any of that?
I heard this morning while I was setting up, they were talking about it. So I got to hear a great deal of what the interpreter said. And not buying it. So, but again, it's easy to automatically think someone's guilty. And I want to say in this day and age, but how do you not know that stuff's going on?
We're going to talk about that coming up in just actually probably in the next segment because I am intrigued. The Atlanta Braves pick up a new old name and old new name yesterday. Uncle Jesse is back in the pen for the ATL. We're going to talk about that and the impact Jesse Chavez could have on the Braves. The bullpen was already really good for Atlanta, and now it just got a little bit better. So we're going to talk about that. We have got some rules changes across the National Football League. The hip drop tackle S no mas, and there's a lot of current and former defensive NFL players and alumni that are real not happy about it. We're going to talk about that. There were a couple of other rule changes as it comes to instant replay. We'll get into that. I've got your playoff odds for every Major League Baseball team. What are the odds that your favorite team, if it's the Braves, 100%? But what are the odds your favorite teams get into the MLB playoffs this season? What Cinderellas might be showing up to the ball in Major League Baseball?
Sounds like you're going over the percentage today. I'm just saying. It's just from the rundown speak here. It sounds like at least a couple percent's over.
Sir, we are 48 plus 4. What's that? 52. We are less than 50. I'm bad at math. What do you want? I got to do it in my head.
Hey, you got it right. You did.
We are 52 hours away from opening day first pitch.
I thought that already happened in Korea.
Yeah, that was opening day light.
Okay.
That was opening day light. That was
so what? You don't count it because it was in another country?
No, I count it as in those games stat. Those games count in the stats. I don't count it. Opening day is the day that everybody plays. Coming up on Thursday, 30 teams, 15 games. They start at 10 in the morning, and I think it's 10 o'clock in the morning. They start at 10 in the morning, and they run until I lay my sweet little head down asleep that evening. Actually, it's going to be even later than that. On Thursday, I lied. It's at 1 o'clock. So this week is six more hours. One more.
He's trying to
48 plus 7.
If we were 50, West Coast time, it would be 10 a.m.
55 hours. No, I had to redo the math in my head. It takes that long. 55 hours until first pitch. The Brew Crew at the Mets at 1:10 on Thursday. The last game. Missed you so much, baseball. The last game of the day, Colorado at Arizona, which goes first pitch, great one, at 10:10 p.m. Yes, please, and thank you.
What is wrong with it? 10:10?
10:10 p.m. out in the desert as the D-backs.
Diamondbacks.
Yeah, that's what they're called.
Yeah, okay.
There was a host I worked with back in Florida a number of years ago, and he did kind of have that classic SEC accent, you know what I'm talking about? And when we talked baseball, he talked about the D-backs.
That sounds like your Jerry Jones also.
Okay, talk to you about the Dallas Cowboys, son. Have you bought your season tickets yet, son? You want to go see the Arizona Diamondbacks? You know, the D-backs. You want to go see the D-backs play? All right, let's take a break.
I'm pretty sure that first.
From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Weather Center, here's the Carolinas' most trusted forecast on the Fan Upstate. Rain showers are likely today, cloudy with a high around 58. Rain showers continue overnight tonight with a low around 50. More rain possible into Wednesday, otherwise sunny with a high of 72. Then some rain may continue into Wednesday night with a low of 51. Showers on Thursday, sunny and 65. I'm meteorologist Kara Foster on the Fan Upstate. Currently, it's 52 degrees.
Hey, this is Diesel. And this is Cole with Wire to Wire. And we'll be live tomorrow from 3 to 7 at Ingles Markets at 410 Pelzer Highway in Easel. Stop by and say hi. We will also be giving away a $25 Ingles gift card.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online at hims.com/joy. Through HIMS, you'll get a free medical consultation to determine the ED medication that's best for you. Discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands, at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at Hims, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/joy and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Commercial Insurance can protect your small business with over 30 coverage options, an easy-to-use mobile app, personalized discounts, and more. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Discounts and coverage selections not available in all states or situations.
Take control of your listening experience with Rewind on the Odyssey app. Missed a jaw-dropping moment? No worries.
The Odyssey app makes it easy.
With Rewind, you can relive big moments from Rob Brown, Jim Rome, and more.
Who cares? Yesterday, Shohei Ohtani and his new interpreter took to a microphone to give Shohei's first comments since the gambling scandal that rocked the baseball world last week. In the press conference, Shohei Ohtani, through his translator, claimed ignorance of the situation. He said that he has never gambled on baseball or any other sport. He said that he has never asked anyone else to gamble on baseball or any other sport. He said that he was unaware of the finances, of the money moving around. He said that his translator and friend of almost 2 decades lied to him, stole from him. Effectively, Shohei Ohtani parroted the message that was put out by the Ohtani camp a day and a half after the story broke. You will remember, if I can back to the future you to last week, that they played a game in Seoul, South Korea. Right after that game was over, Shohei's interpreter told the team that due to an investigation, he was out. Shohei said that he was out. And then the story that ESPN had done an interview with that interpreter dropped. And in that interview, the interpreter claimed that Shohei Ohtani knew about his $4.5 million in gambling debt. And in order to prevent him from having any further trouble, was willing to pay that debt for him, provided he would not gamble any further. Then, 24 hours later, the story changed. 24 hours later, the story became Shohei Ohtani's camp asked law enforcement officials to investigate major theft from Shohei Ohtani, to investigate $4.5 million being outright stolen from Shohei Ohtani. And that became the big story. That became the big discussion. And of course, all of us, being the wonderful little detectives that we are, all of us started diving into the details and the story changes and all these different things that happened. And we all started to develop our own theories as to what happened. I gave you mine. My assumption, my thought was, yeah, basically, my dude got into some trouble and Shohei covered him, or Shohei did it. And the reason that the debt was Shohei's is a legitimate thought, is because this translator, I heard yesterday his salary being described as $85,000 a year. It's not. It was like a lot more than that, but not millions of dollars. It's like a couple $100,000 a year to follow Shohei around and be his interpreter. Not enough to rack up $4.5 million of debt, or at least theoretically. So after hearing this presser, there were a couple of things that jumped off the page at me, jumped out at me. The first one was this. I found it, despite the fact that it was a game day for the LA Dodgers, as yes, they have played 2 games on the books against the San Diego Padres. Yesterday, they got back to spring training, as did the Padres. In their spring training matchup yesterday, they were set to take on Shohei's old team, the LA Angels. But I found it, and this might just be me looking for something, I found it to be very almost manipulative that Shohei Ohtani came out to this press conference not in a suit and tie, not in a dress shirt, not in the way that you or I or anybody else would dress up if we had to go through a moment like that. How did Shohei come to the mic? In his full baseball jersey, with his hat on and everything. Now, as Lonzo can tell you, we work in radio. The number one reason radio dudes work in radio, because we can come to the station in pajamas, and 9 out of 10 days, nobody cares. All right? I am all for making everyday casual Friday. But, if I get an email from the boss that says, hey, tomorrow you and me are meeting up to go over situation X, especially if situation X is a situation where Rob Brown's in trouble, then Rob's coming to the office the next day in a collared shirt and slacks.
All right. As I recall, and I could be wrong about this, but in Japan, when they show up for things like that, they wear their uniform. So I think maybe he's just doing what he was taught where he was raised. I mean, that's what I'm going with.
That is a possibility. I have another thought. The other thought is this, and this is what I took away from this press conference, because Shohei was very clearly reading in Japanese, and then his interpreter was relaying the message. I have been an admirer, I'll say, of Shohei Ohtani since he showed up in the league. I have on this very microphone and many others over the years described Shohei Ohtani as the best baseball player to ever walk planet Earth. There is nothing that he is not one of the top 5 in the league at. He is a top 5 hitter. He is a top 5 pitcher. When he needs to be, he is a top 5 fielder. He is a top 5 runner. There's nothing in the game Shohei Ohtani's not top 5 at. He is the greatest baseball player to ever play. I have had a bro crush on Shohei Ohtani since he was with the Angels. That being said, I'm starting to get Russell Wilson vibes from him. And by Russell Wilson vibes, what I mean is it's kind of starting to come across like the entire image of Shohei Ohtani is manufactured. It's starting to come across like the entire image of this guy is plastic. It is tailored to be the best possible public forward-facing image. Russell Wilson has been accused of this for a couple of years. I'm at the point now where I can't deny it. Russell Wilson's entire public-facing persona is basically an amalgamation of PR guys trying to figure out what looks good on social media. Now that's your personality, Russ. Let's cook. The Russell Wilson cooking wear line. You know what I mean? Like, it just feels almost fraudulent.
Wait, is there a Russell Wilson?
There was a Russell Wilson, let Russ cook cookware line. Yes.
I bet the Teflon just kind of
falls apart as soon as it's under pressure.
Yeah.
It was, I don't know if it ever actually got off the ground or not, but when he started the let Russ cook thing where he was telling people, like, let me cook. And he was trying to get people to say on Twitter, let Russ cook. That's because he had filed a trademark, which he was going to apply to a cookware company called Let Russ Cook, right? It feels manufactured and plastic and fake.
As far as the Ohtani thing goes, because everything goes back to wrestling, this just makes me think of wrestlers who don't speak English. A lot of them are luchadors and things like that, so they're able to do a lot of things, and then their interpreter, you almost think that the interpreter is not saying what they mean, and they're using the fact that they don't speak the language as a way to deflect.
I will say that.
And you can always use the interpreter told me wrong. He thought you meant this, and I mean, it just seems like that's a built-in way to get out of actually answering questions.
It felt to me yesterday as if the message was always going to be like, I didn't get super pumped about this press conference. I'm interested in the story for sure from the perspective of a baseball.
This is the biggest name in baseball, though.
It absolutely is. So let me clarify
this is
that.
the biggest scandal in a long time for baseball, since probably steroids, I guess.
100%. I am not disinterested in the story. I was disinterested in the presser yesterday. And the reason why was because we've already had Shohei's camp give us their/his side of the story. We've already heard it. There was no chance that Shohei Ohtani was going to grab the mic yesterday and give us any new information. And then when I tuned into the press conference, in the background before he starts talking, you can very clearly hear a Dodgers representative say, hey guys, we're going to ask you not to film this with your cell phones at this time. We will distribute video of the event later, so we're going to please ask you not to film this with your cell phones right now. Why would they do that? Why would they do that? They would do that for a couple of reasons. Number one, it allows them to, in my opinion, because I run as the eternal optimist that I am, I run to the worst case scenario in everything that happens in my life. It allows the Dodgers to release the portions of the video that they want released. They may not want it released if a reporter yells a question at Shohei and Shohei very clearly recoils from the question, or, you know, there's a billion armchair psychologists out there in the world. And if one of them breaks it down and goes, you know, when a guy, wipes his nose and looks up and left while turning his right shoulder 15 degrees, that means he's lying. They don't want all that. So what it allows them to do is release the angles they want with the cuts they want of that presser. The second thing is it lets them make sure that nothing goes catastrophically wrong that is visible in the presser. Because here's the reality. While Shohei is in full-on CYA mode right now, so with the Dodgers. The Dodgers have invested, although they don't have to pay it for another decade, the Dodgers have invested $700 million plus in this player because he is the best baseball player on planet Earth. And if something goes squirrely and something very odd and random and silly ends up getting out there, and Shohei Ohtani's career suddenly comes to an end because he is banned from Major League Baseball a la Pete Rose, then the LA Dodgers get worse because of it. They're still going to be real good.
I'm glad you mentioned Pete Rose. I was staying back because he's being consulted by quite a few people.
Of course he is. Did you see the video that went on of him on Twitter yesterday?
I didn't listen to it, but I saw that it was up there.
Yeah, he was like, I wish I would have had an interpreter. Right? So Pete Rose is basically saying the same thing that my initial theory was, which is the interpreter's the fall guy. He's a fall guy. Because to get away from the Dodgers controlling a very, to me, manufactured narrative around this whole story, which they should. That's damage control 101. I've done it before. I was a county public information officer.
Okay, not for yourself, for someone else.
Correct.
Yeah,
I
okay.
don't do things that need damage control.
All right.
I'm too boring for that. But I have been a county public information officer for a county that has a very large military presence in it. Sometimes when the military's testing bombs and missiles and airplanes, things go bad. And it was for the county my job to craft a narrative to keep people calm while this thing gets worked through. I get it. It's PR 101. Been there, done that, got that T-shirt.
So, like in Iron Man 1, when Rhodey talks about the training exercise gone, that was you?
Not for the military side of it. We did, for instance, we had a issue with speaking of it, we had an issue with a bridge in the county I worked for one time. We had an issue with a bridge where a pipe burst and did two things. Number one, it cut off water and transportation to an island. Those people couldn't get fresh water on the island for a while, and they couldn't leave it, nor could we get anything to them for a while outside of helicopters. And B, a chunk of the bridge fell off, which meant the bridge had to be fixed before anybody could go over there or come back, not by helicopter. And I basically had to craft the narrative about why this isn't really that big of a deal. That's why I did not last in that job, because I hated it, felt dishonest. So I get why the Dodgers are saying, we don't want y'all filming this. We will send you the video after it's over and we're ready. And I get why they don't have, as Lonzo pointed out, because everything is wrestling, some guys get to go off script. Like last night, when The Rock was very clearly dropping F-bombs on TV. They censored him, but you could tell what he was saying. And some guys don't get to go off script. You haven't earned it. You're not there. Shohei was on a script. The translator was translating the script. It is what it is. It was manufactured, but of course it is. As Lonzo pointed out, it's the biggest scandal in baseball since Rafael Palmeiro and the steroid hearings. So, then there's the element of what actually happened. $4.5 million is nothing to sneeze at. However, it is not the $4.5 million that would have Shohei Ohtani in trouble. What would have Shohei Ohtani in trouble is that it's $4.5 million through an illegal source, through an illegal book. Cody Decker, I think some of you guys may have heard me talk about this earlier in the week. Cody Decker, my co-host on Saturday's Bet for the Cycle, is a former Major League Baseball player. Played for the Padres, spent some time with the Diamondbacks, amongst other clubs. And I asked him about this. I said, are baseball players just not allowed to gamble at all? He said, no, you're absolutely allowed to gamble. A, not on baseball, and B, only through legal certified books. Why? Because you can track it that way. You can track it that way. And they make it abundantly clear that if you are caught making bets, even if they are not on the book, if you are making bets about baseball, or I should say, even if they are on the book, if you are making bets about baseball, you're out. And if you're making bets off the book, if you're making bets through an illegal bookie, you're out. That's a big no-no. And he said this is not A, negotiable, or B, something where a baseball player can claim naivete, because it is drilled from day one when you get in. And I know that's true because I've worked with plenty of sports organizations. And even before the gambling explosion that we are seeing happen right now, even before the current gambling explosion, one of the things that almost always happens is you get a lesson, you get a training module or whatever from the club, from the league that you're in, that says you don't gamble on this. And if you're caught gambling on this, you are out. You are out, and it could get worse. So Pete Rose thinks it's a fall guy, that the translator's a fall guy. And I got to tell you, after great thought, I kind of do as well. I kind of wonder if this was a fall guy, because $4.5 million is not chump change. It's honestly, it's nothing to Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani's contract, though it doesn't pay out directly for 10 years, is worth $700 million. I'm real bad at math, but that means $4.5 million is like less than 1% of what he makes on just the contract. That is not his endorsements. Endorsements for New Balance, who I know are paying him the tune of tens of millions of dollars. His New Balance contract would cover this gambling bet, no problem. I know Lonzo.
How much did he get paid for? Was it last year when he was on the cover of the video game, or is it this year?
I think it was. I don't.
I know he's been on it because he was on all the commercials.
He is in the commercials. He's getting paid from that. Listen, the endorsements are at no shortage for Shohei Ohtani, to the tune of tens of millions of dollars. One endorsement would pay this gambling debt twice over, 3 times over. So it makes sense that would be an amount of money that Shohei Ohtani is in the hole. Even though his interpreter was definitely getting paid 6 figures annually, unless he was going with a Tony Soprano-style bookie who was willing to let him go into millions of dollars of debts, knowing I can juice this guy for decades after it, and his connection with Shohei Ohtani means he's going to have that juice for years. I can use that connection. Nobody's giving you a $4.5 million line of credit. Nobody's doing it. So that kind of muddies the waters a little bit. And because of that, I think all of us have got to be interested in this story. There's a lot of possible outcomes here. But I will say here, and then we'll take a break, what I said yesterday as I was listening to Wire with Cole Bryson and Diesel. They were talking about this at the end of the press conference. They said, oh, this is a big deal. What's the punishment? There's not one yet. There's not one yet. Let me be clear. If Shohei Ohtani was betting on baseball, then yes, there has to be a punishment. I am not pushing back on that. But like with everything else, if you are going to punish, you have got to prove the crime. Like Denzel Washington said in Training Day, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. And while it all makes sense that this was actually a Shohei Ohtani debt and that the translator is being asked, demanded, told to, willing to take the fall for the greatest baseball player of all time, you have to prove that. You have to prove that Shohei knew what was going on. You have to prove that the debt was Shohei's. You have to prove that Shohei Ohtani was the guy clicking the place wager button. You have to prove that Shohei Ohtani knew about the wire transfer.
I'm Chuck Sanders. Here's the Sports Flash presented by Progressive.
NCAA women's hoops on Monday. Top seed Iowa beat 8th seed West Virginia 64-54. Caitlin Clark scored 32 points.
From here on out, every single team is going to give us a really good game. Every single team is basically a top 25 team at this point. So I'm competitive. I want to win, and I expect us to be really good all the time.
The Hawkeyes advance to the Sweet 16 Regional 2 in Albany this Saturday. 31-4 Iowa will battle 24-9 Colorado, the 5th seed. The NBA's opened an investigation into Toronto two-way player Jontay Porter amid gambling allegations. Meanwhile, Dodgers star Shohei Ohtani says he never bet on sports or knowingly paid any gambling debts accumulated by his longtime interpreter. Instead, Ohtani claims his close friend lied to him for years and stole millions of dollars from the two-time MVP. Bundle auto and home, renters, or condo, and save with Progressive. Download the Odyssey app, search the Fan Upstate, and listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Fan Upstate.
Up to the minute upstate traffic, north and southbound 85, overall pretty quiet.
Yeah, because it wasn't in utility. Tag on it. So the entire broadcast
has been silent so far.
Yes.
And nobody said anything about it?
Unless they change the settings. And if they did, I'm going to be ticked.
No, they didn't. I walked them through the whole thing yesterday.
No, I'm talking about what feeds. They could have asked engineering to change it again.
They can't have been, because Jennifer was commenting in real time on the bridge.
But it was not in utility the whole time, which makes me wonder if they changed the feed to aux. And if they did, when we're talking right now, no one could hear it. And I've had this argument with them before, and now I'm concerned.
Is Chris here today? Do you know?
He's not out there yet. I mean, the real test is, can you hear us now?
Hey, if you can hear us.
Okay. Okay. There we go. All right. All right. So it's somehow.
Wesley, can you hear us right now?
Ultimately, it's my fault. And I apologize.
It's the water level.
Thank you, Andrew.
So dumb, and it's so funny. Oh, yeah, no, obviously we're talking about that next.
Oh, so you didn't see it?
Nope.
Okay.
You think I wouldn't have opened the show with that?
Yeah, I just now saw that. That's why I was sending it over there. Again, apologies about the audio. Hopefully we're good now.
Pluto TV won't cost you a thing because everything is free. So if you want to watch Braveheart, Mean Girls, or The Price is Right, well, The Price is Right. It's free. Just download the app, which, by the way, is also free. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
From the Ingalls Market Studio, the Fan.
Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville. 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
Always live from the Free Odyssey app. Text us at 71307.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have an infinitely important news story for you. So newsworthy, I almost wonder if we break the glass for it. Yeah, I think it's fair. I think it's fair. I think it's deserved. I think it's warranted. In fact, I'm even going to read the sponsor read for the breaking news, which, of course, is brought to you by our friends at BetQL. Be a better, be smarter, beat the books with our friends at BetQL. Go to BetQL.com for more. And don't forget to listen to Bet for the Cycle every Saturday, noon to 4. I forgot my show name for a
I
second.
thought the pause was on purpose.
No,
I was
going to play it off as very dramatic, but then I also think it was quite obvious that I just screwed up there. Bet for the Cycle, noon to 4, hosted by former Major League Baseball player Cody Decker and former high school baseball player Rob Brown. I was okay.
You were just really excited about this news, and it made you hesitate.
Not even a joke. Not even a joke. Ladies and gentlemen, we have enormous news. Remember about what was it, Lonzo? About 2 weeks ago.
It was before
vacation.
Before my vacation. So yeah, a couple weeks.
Yeah, so a couple of weeks ago, we had a story that set the text line ablaze. The Pittsburgh Penguins were set to have Jaromir Jagr night. Obviously a legend of the Pittsburgh Penguins. And as part of the celebration of Jaromir Jagr night, they were going to be giving away something to the tune of like 18,000 Jaromir Jagr bobbleheads. They had a corporate sponsor for them. They're actually pretty dope. I'm not going to lie. I kind of want one for the Fortress of Nerditude over there to add to the bobblehead collection. And then disaster, tragedy, as one of the great crimes in American history took place. Somebody stole the bobbleheads. A semi-truck tractor trailer full of Jaromir Jagr bobbleheads went MIA. They were gone. Now, Lonzo and I were working under the theory that some intern, probably named Brad, just forgot to order the Jaromir Jagr bobbleheads. And when the boss called him in the office and was like, all right, big dog, it's Jagr night tomorrow, and we're all pretty pumped. Let's go around the room. Melinda, how are the banners? Banners are great, boss. Good. Daniel, how's the private suite for Jaromir Jagr coming along? Got it fully stocked, boss. Favorite beer is in the freezer. Love it. Great job, Daniel. How about you, Jonathan? How's the PR going? Spectacular. In fact, we just saw the ad that ran in all of Pittsburgh advertising the Jaromir Jagr bobbleheads tomorrow. Great job, Daniel. Hey, Brad, how about those bobbleheads? Do you have one in yet that we can show? Boss, you're never going to believe this, boss. Right before I walked in here for this meeting about Jaromir Jagr bobblehead night, boss man, I got a phone call. It was very interesting. The bobbleheads are they've been stolen. They've been stolen. Somebody took them, boss. They're gone. Whoa, Brad. 18,000 bobbleheads. Yeah, I know. It's crazy because I definitely ordered them. I definitely ordered them. And they told me after I ordered them, they said, that's absolutely great. It's going to be 2 weeks. They were supposed to be here today. And then I just checked because I'm like, oh, isn't it weird that the bobbleheads aren't here yet? So I called the bobblehead company and they're like, oh, we sent them. And I was like, oh, did you? And then I called the shipping company, and the shipping company was like, they've been stolen. And I was like, no way. And it was right before this meeting, boss. So soon as we get out of here, I'm going to head on over. I'm going to talk to the shipping company, and we're going to get this figured out. They were supposed to be here today. It's a 2-week shipping turnaround. And then Brad walks to the office later and goes, boss, I got good news. They found the bobbleheads. Great. When are they going to be here? In 2 weeks, boss, in 2 weeks. The exact same time as the ordinary delivery time. No reason. So turns out Brad's off the hook. Turns out that they really were stolen, and turns out they have been found. A special cargo recovery team was able to negotiate the return of the bobbleheads and secure them. Where were they found? Ontario, Canada.
Hi, my name is Z. I'm part of the special cargo recovery crew.
which means that some Canadian angry that Canada can't win championships in their sport over teams in the U.S. anymore, even though the teams are comprised predominantly of Canadian players. Some Canuck, angry as hell that they are now second place in their own sport, was like, I know how to get them back. We will start a national bobblehead theft ring.
I hope the Mounties helped find it.
Because the Mounties always get their man.
Yes.
Hey, speaking of the man, Lonzo's going to do a thing for you all right now that is going to make your morning better. And that thing is a sports flash.
Hey, you're welcome. Biscuits and me. In a high-intensity slugfest, Caitlin Clark and the Iowa Hawkeyes moved on to the women's Sweet 16 with a 64-54 win over West Virginia last night. Clark scored 32, including 5 threes with 8 boards, and played all 40 minutes of the game. There was controversy, however, as West Virginia was whistled for 27 fouls compared to just 11 for Iowa. Iowa will take on Colorado in the next round this Saturday. Paige Beckers lifted UConn to Sweet 16 with 32 points, 10 boards, and 6 assists in 72-64 win over Syracuse. The Huskies shot 51% from the floor and 47% from the arc, with more rebounds, assists, and blocks than the Orange. They'll face Duke in the next round. Tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on all the latest sports news. Need to talk faster.
Or 500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at tra.com or call 800-575-6986.
As a talkbak.
Yes.
800-575-6986.
Exactly right. So, no, I don't think any of that's changed. But if we, it's working.
It's my fault.
Did they find the Jägermeister?
Not Jägermeister. Somebody sold 18,000 Yarmir Yager bobbleheads. Ah, you son of a biscuit. That's really good. How did I not arrive at that? Crap. I'm slipping in my old age. I'm falling off.
It's not actually mine, but as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, that's a good joke.
It's a great joke.
Congratulations. Good job.
I had forgotten about it.
It's really good.
Until I just saw the.
That's really good. I'm very upset. But yes, they did. They found the Jägermeister. They found the bobbleheads. I don't know if they found the guy.
I was gonna say, can you get permission for something that's not yours? I mean, you just admitted it wasn't yours.
For the record, I can do whatever I want.
Well, there are boundaries there. It is.
Which is obvious because I came up with that Jägermeister joke, and it's a good one. It's a good one, if I may say so myself.
It's a nice concept. It's something that's fun to kind of prop up. But I think people use luck sometimes as an excuse. We're just unlucky. Were you unlucky or were you unprepared?
Stream's quiet today. How's everybody?
Dude, it's just now almost 7. Give him a little time.
No, you get up with us. You'll be here at 6. Joey said digging the tidal wave hairdo. Yeah, it's
Been a lot of wave
It's on
jokes
one today.
before we even went on the air
Yeah,
today.
it's on
so,
one today.
Yeah.
I hit it with a blow dryer and everything. I actually did it this morning.
But Rob hates the tide is high for some reason.
I really do. Can't explain it. Just hate that song.
What do you think? It's cultural appropriation? I mean,
No, if I was mad about that, I'd hate Rapture. But I like Rapture.
I remember getting in an argument with someone who said they never played a rap song before, and I was like, "Yeah, you have. You played Rapture. That's not a rap song." Oh, absolutely is a rap song.
Yeah, for sure it
It is. Debbie Harry raps through almost the entire thing.
Absolutely, it is.
That's singing. No, that's rapping. Good morning, April. Are you still first?
She is still Thursday.
Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing?
Real good, Corey LaJoy. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Rob Brown Show. It is the Fan Upstate. How do you do?
Good morning.
Upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. What's up, world? Great to be with you. I am Rob Brown, the guy responsible for that sound bite.
Good morning.
That's the one. Is the great one Lonzo on the other side of the metaphorical glass today. Welcome in. Come visit us on the live stream. Won't you? Facebook.com/thefanupstate, Twitter.com/thefanupstate, on Twitch by searching and subscribing to the Rob Brown Show, and the same on YouTube. We would love to have you join us on that live stream where we are live all 4 hours, all 5 days a week. You can go behind the scenes and have conversations with Lonzo and I off the air that we don't have on it. And just generally be a part of our sports fan community. It is 7:01 in the morning, which is, I agree, very early. Not that I haven't been up for 3 hours already. All right. I done milked the cows, fed the chickens.
Fence in the back 40 needs some work. I don't know if you got to that or not.
Sorry, Paul. We're just having a good old time. It is 7:01. Wait for it. Hang on. It is 7:02 in the morning. And that means you are 58 minutes away from having to clock in at work, and you got to respond to all those passive-aggressive emails that you sent out. You got to deal with all that. You got to deal with the Susan in HR, who's all mad because somebody didn't wear socks yesterday, and somebody else lodged a complaint. Somebody done been eating people's lunch out of the fridge. Whatever obnoxious crap that you've got to deal with right now, you're going to deal with it.
Shout out to Jacob. Make sure you feed those chickens well.
Said I actually need to go feed my chickens. My future brother and sister-in-law have chickens. And I'm going to tell you a couple of things. Big egg guy over here. All right.
I was going to ask you how the eggs were.
Big egg guy. Love eggs. All right. I can kill.
Do you love eggs from your head down to your legs?
I can smoke.
It's an actual song.
I know it is. I just don't know it. I can smoke a French omelet. I kill a French omelet. Nice, big, thick, fluffy omelet. Oh, I got it down to a science at this point. All right. I like fried. Hilariously, I just learned how to fry an egg last week.
Really? Because I fry an egg every single morning.
I make omelets all the time. I'm an omelet guy. Omelet's easy.
I get mad because I can't do this Stathakis thing where he flips like 3 or 4 eggs. I can do it, but
I can do 2 omelets, 2 pans, flip them both at the same time.
Wow.
All right. I'm good.
Why would you do that though?
Because it looks awesome.
Okay. All right.
That's the only reason. It would be so much easier to just take a big plastic cake spatula, reach in there, flip the whole thing. But it looks cooler. Hit him with the double flip. All right.
So, also, 1 pan and I gotta.
No, I mean 2 pans, 2 pans. I'm good.
Okay.
All right. So I'm a big omelet guy. I am going to tell you that fresh eggs, not worth the stench that chickens put in your backyard. They smell awful. Chicken coops smell awful. Sorry, Jacob. Respectfully, chicken coops smell awful. If you got them out in the country, that's all well and good. I used to live neighbor to neighbor with a lady who had a chicken coop, and I hated her. Hated her. I'm a big pro-wildlife guy, pro-animal guy, pro-conservation guy. I never wanted to strangle a bird in my life like I did those
Was your
chickens.
neighbor's name Gertie?
I don't know. I never talked to her. I was
Okay,
too mad at her about the damn chicken smell. Anyway, the point is, you're about to get to work. Then you're going to do the work. Then you're going to take a break. Then you're going to go outside to smoke a cigarette, or you're going to walk down to the end of the hallway where you and all your fellow coworkers gather so that the boss doesn't come down and give you a hard time. Why? Because you are going to be talking sports on your break. And if you're going to be talking sports on the break, you're going to need this.
And if you're not down with that, we got 2 words for ya.
It's a very, very long clip for that spot.
Oh, it worked though. It worked. Because she said no afterward.
One word.
Yeah, no.
Not 2 words.
Yeah, well, no, they had 2 words for her, and she said no. So she wasn't having none of that.
It's the water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office today and start talking sports with your friends, coworkers, workplace proximity associates.
Why'd you look at me that way when you said that?
Because I was wondering if we have approval for the use of the word friends about coworkers.
Oh, you're worried about HR? No, we're good.
Okay.
We're good. As long as you don't say special friends, because that's a totally different thing.
Item number 1. I didn't do it. That's what Shohei Ohtani said yesterday.
You should have learned how to say that in Japanese. It would have worked so much better if you could have.
That I yesterday very much planned on opening up my Duolingo, changing my course from Spanish to Japanese, and jumping in. In fact, I even thought, what if I go to Google and I say, translate, I didn't cheat, from, can you see why I'm saying this out loud? English to Japanese.
Oh, I thought you were going to play it because I turned it. Okay.
英語から
I didn't cheat.
英語から
Evo kara.
英語から
That's how you say it.
英語から
That's what Shohei Ohtani said yesterday in his press conference. Not directly, but like pretty close. Actually, no, that's how you say from English in Japanese.
That's awesome. Way to go, dude.
This is how you say I didn't cheat.
私は騙しませんでした
Which I'm not even going to try.
Yeah, that was a little bit longer than the other thing.
私は騙しませんでした
Nope. Anyway, Shohei got on a mic yesterday along with his...
I think I've heard that in anime before. So
you have no idea what you've heard in anime outside of what's written in the subtitles. Shohei Ohtani reading off notes for about 12 minutes in front of a packed interview room at Dodger Stadium yesterday, said he has never gambled on sports, and he did not instruct his former interpreter, Ippei Mitsuhara, to wire money from his account to pay a bookmaker. Ohtani said that Mitsuhara has, quote, been stealing money from us and has told lies, end quote. He said that through his new interpreter, Will Ireton, the Dodgers manager of performance operations. Ohtani said, quote, on a personal note, I'm very sad and shocked that someone who I've trusted has done this, end quote. There were more than 70 media members in the room. He had notes prepared within a black folder that was open in front of him, but he did not appear to be reading it word for word. He did not take follow-up questions. Cameras were not allowed, though Ohtani's comments aired on MLB Network and the Dodgers flagship station, Sportsnet LA, because if there's one thing baseball does better than everything else, it's monetize the hell out of everything. Hey, would you like to hear what Shohei Ohtani has to say about the biggest sports scandal in Major League Baseball in 3 decades? Well, all you need to do is grab yourself a free trial of MLB.com, and you can pay attention to the downfall of the greatest baseball player of all time. Several members of the Dodgers staff, including CEO Stan Kasten, Chief Marketing Officer Lon Rosen, President of Baseball Operations Andrew Friedman, General Manager Brandon Gomez, Manager Dave Roberts, Utility Man Enrique Hernandez, and relief pitcher Joe Kelly were all in attendance as well. Ohtani said via the translator, quote, "I never bet on baseball or any other sports and never have asked anybody to do that on my behalf. I have never went through a bookmaker to bet on sports up until a couple of days ago. I didn't know that this was happening," end quote. Ohtani said media members reached out to, quote, "a representative in my camp inquiring about my potential involvement in this sports betting." But he said that Mitsuhara, quote, "never revealed to me that there was this media inquiry," end quote. He went on to say that that the translator has been telling everybody around that he has been communicating with Shohei on this account. To my representatives to the team, that has not been true, end quote. When asked about how Ippei was able to tell the Dodgers one story and tell Shohei another, Ohtani said, quote, "During the team meeting, obviously Ippei was speaking English, but I didn't have a translator by my side. But even with that, I kind of understood what was going on and started to feel there was something amiss. Prior to the meeting, I was told by Ippei, let's talk one-on-one after the meeting in the hotel. So I waited. So up until that team meeting, I did not know Ippei had a gambling addiction and was in massive debt. And it was revealed to me in that meeting that Ippei admitted he was sending money using my account to the bookmaker. At that moment, obviously, it was an absurd thing that was happening, and I contacted my representatives at that point. When I finally was able to talk to my representatives, that's when my representatives found out Ippei had been lying the whole time, and that's when I began contacting the Dodgers and my lawyers. The Dodgers and the lawyers at that moment found out as well that they'd been lied to," end quote. Let's make one thing clear before we move on to item number 2. To this moment in time that we all currently occupy, Shohei Ohtani has not been, by Major League Baseball, by law enforcement authorities, or anyone else, accused of gambling on baseball or on sports or at all. No one has accused Shohei Ohtani of any rules violations thus far. I will say this. We got this story about Shohei's people asking law enforcement to investigate $4.5 million getting jacked out of his accounts and sent to a bookmaker. And you know one thing we have not heard? There's a reason I'm still interested in this story, still following it detail by detail. Rumor is they reached out to law enforcement and said, "Hey, can y'all look into this to me? Here's something very interesting." What law enforcement agency did they ask? The FBI, the CIA, the Secret Service? I have no idea. I genuinely don't know. And I find that kind of interesting that nobody knows what law enforcement agency is investigating, which almost says to me maybe none really are.
It's a stadium security. That's what they use. You know, most of those guys are off-duty cops.
I guess.
Yeah.
私は騙しませんでした。
Item number 2.
I hope that really says that.
I mean, do you not trust Google?
I hope that really says that.
All right. Item number 2 on the water cooler cheat sheet. NFL owners have approved a rule proposal to ban the hip drop tackle. The league announced that yesterday. The violation will result in a 15-yard penalty if flagged in games. But Troy Vincent, the NFL's executive vice president of football operations, strongly implied last week that it is likely to be enforced in similarity to the use of helmet rule, which typically leads to warning letters and fines in the week after a game rather than flags during play.
Can we get a Key and Peele skit of all the ways you're not allowed to tackle? And then we can try to figure out the ways that you can tackle. Because I'm not quite sure.
I feel like we just need to write that skit, and then we'll take Cole and Diesel out into a field somewhere. Make our own. We'll go viral on Insta with this.
Oh, that works for me. Yeah, I can't hold back though. So I mean, I don't play that way.
The tackling technique often results in lower body injuries. The rule requires officials to note 2 actions. 1, if a defender grabs the runner with both hands or wraps the runner with both arms, and also unweights himself by swiveling and dropping his hips and or lower body, landing on and trapping the runner's legs out or below the knee.
Wait, I unweights himself.
Go dead weight. You know how when you...
How's that unweighting yourself? That's like the opposite of unweight to me would be like going airborne because then you're not using your... I don't know. I mean, if you're slinging around, you have less weight. You got more
I get
torque.
what you're saying. I'm working it out in my head because I get what you're saying. That's how they wrote it. Unweights himself by swiveling and dropping his hips and or lower body, landing on and trapping the runner's leg at or below the knee. Rich McKay is the competition committee chairman. He said, quote, when it is used, it is incredibly injurious to the runner. The runner is purely defenseless. I've heard defenders say before, and I hear them, hey, you're putting me in a really tough spot. You're saying I can't hit here. What do I do? My response, as always, has been, well, you can't do that. That's just because the guy you're hitting is defenseless, has no way to protect himself. So we've got to protect him. You've got to come up with other ways, and you know what? They do. Yes, we outlawed the hip drop, but what you may think are the drag from behind where he falls on, that's still a tackle. This is only the tackle where the player is lifting themselves in the air and then falling on the legs. I despise NFL referees, specifically you, Bill Vinovich. You just made the list. I feel bad for him here. I feel real bad for him here. Here he goes, though. They're showing some clips. See, that would not by the letter of what we just said, that last tackle we just saw, I would not think is,
by the way,
waiting and falling.
I have seen clips already and they're not consistent, and there's no clear way of going, this is it every time, and showing several plays from different teams doing the same thing. They cannot do that. This is up to interpretation. And I know I always say, it's human error, but we're going to probably see a lot of human error, especially.
It's a good thing you guys love human error. That's
especially,
your favorite argument.
I know. I was hesitant to bring that up, but I have to. Early on, especially in preseason, they'll do what they always do. They'll call it right and left. No one, including the announcers, will be able to tell you definitively what just happened unless they've been given,
the script.
The script, yes. And eventually it'll go away. It probably the first 2 or 3 games, you're going to see it called a bunch. Then you won't see it anymore.
NFL Executive Vice President Jeff Miller said, here's the number that made this a rule. Okay. This number was why. NFL Executive Vice President Jeff Miller said there were 230 instances of the tackling technique occurring during a game last season. 15 players missed at least one full game as a result of it. The league played a video during a news conference to show 6 specific plays in which the hip drop tackle was used in games, with tight end Drew Sample, running back Tony Pollard, receiver Tyler Boyd, quarterback Geno Smith, and quarterback Ryan Tannehill all being on the receiving end of the now illegal hit. NFL teams will continue to receive videos showing legal hits and ways to make tackles within the rules. McKay said, quote, it's a new rule, so they'll not have seen it. This is never practiced. Nobody does this in practice. There's never a player that's going to use this tactic on a player on his own team in practice. So they're never going to see it. They're only going to see it in the game. We will tell them, listen, this is a penalty on the books. You can call it. You got to see all 3 elements of what's going on here. You've got to see him grab him. You've got to see him control them. You've got to see him swivel himself up in the air, and you got to see him go unweighted. You don't see it, don't call it, end quote.
See, I was going to ask you if you were ever taught in football how to do that kind of tackle, because I would love to talk to a coach who teaches this. But as they just pointed out, no one teaches it.
I mean, I can say.
So it's instinct.
I think it is. I never got taught how to do it, but I will say you absolutely got told. If you cannot drive through the tackle, if a guy's running sideways next to you and all you can do is get hands on him, go dead weight. Right? Now, it was never go dead weight and bring him to the ground. It was always go dead weight, slow him down till, as my old coach Bobby Moore would say, till the cavalry arrives, boys. He also sounds like Jerry Jones for no reason.
Wow. It's a lot of transplants to Florida, apparently.
It was always go dead weight till the cavalry shows up.
I don't recall, and it's been a lot longer since I've played, a coach ever saying go dead weight.
I can't either. So anyway,
It's a little too sophisticated for where I went to school. So
the old fans are not happy. JJ Watt said, just fast forward to the belts with flags on them. Kenyon Drake said, I don't care about popular opinion. I lost my right ankle and a quarter of the 21 season to this type of tackle. Something had to give, and I'm glad it's not any more legs or ankles broken.
of course the offense is all going to be for it.
And the defense all hates it.
I mean, yeah, because
Kyle Long said, I'm happy the hip drop is out of the game. I'm all for the league trying to minimize the potential for serious injury. This league has a 100% rate of injury, but the hip drop tends to be the cause of injuries that are harder to come back from. Good job, NFL.
So does turf.
Julian, that's why players want to go to grass. It's not them you got to push back against. Julian Edelman said, quote, there are two sides to this. I'm all for player safety, and hip drop tackles are dangerous. But on the other hand, how is a defensive player supposed to tackle if we take away every method of tackling? Richard Sherman, I just wish they'd force the entire competition committee to create examples of how they expect a defender to tackle a ball carrier. I want them to act it out at full speed and create a video for the players. At some point during the creation of the video, they'll realize how silly this is.
See, that's exactly what I was talking about. Let's get a Key and Peele skit and show it to every NFL player. Here's how you tackle.
Javon Holland said, quote, breaking news, tackling banned. Robert Griffin III said, with the hip drop tackle now banned in the NFL, how is Logan Wilson supposed to make this tackle effectively? And then he puts up a video from the Ravens game against the Bengals where Gus is going left. Logan Wilson comes around the opposite side, catches up to Gus from behind, wraps him around the waist, and then basically drags him down. And for the record, that's a very fair question. If you're a DB and you catch up with a ball carrier from behind and you get hands on him, how are you supposed to drop him? The answer is you're supposed to grab and go away from the legs. Grab and go to a side, not straight down on the legs. That is what they are trying to do. So we'll see where it goes. And finally, item number 3. We're going to talk about this at length in the next segment, but I'll go ahead and bring it up now. South Carolina leading scorer Meechie Johnson is no longer a Gamecock, or at least looks to be that way, as Meechie Johnson is entering the transfer portal just days after leading the Gamecocks to their first NCAA tournament appearance in 7 years. The 6'2" junior from Cleveland said in a statement on On3 yesterday that he is also considering testing the NBA draft waters. Johnson, of course, transferred into South Carolina 2 seasons ago, averaged just shy of 14 points, helped the Gamecocks become one of basketball's biggest turnaround stories this season. South Carolina went 11-21 last year under Lamont Paris. This year, tied a program record for wins, 26-8. They were picked as a 6th seed. They did fall to the 11th seed Oregon in the opening round. Johnson said in a statement, quote, Coach Paris has been very impactful in my life and my development, and that is my guy forever. But all that being said, I'll be entering the transfer portal. South Carolina fans, understandably, justifiably, are not taking it well. We're going to talk about that a little bit more coming up. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Rob Brown. That's the great one, Lonzo.
私たちはファンアップステートとロブ・ブラウンショーにすぐ戻ってきます。
We'll be right back.
Yeah.
On the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah, what she said.
I'm just going to type sentences in and learn how to say them in Japanese. Be right back.
QC.
All right, guys, quick live read and we're coming back. Y'all stay right there for me. BRB.
紳士淑女の皆様、ファンアップステートのロブ・ブラウン賞へようこそ。私の名前はロブ・ブラウン、偉大なロンゾと並んでいます。
I heard your name. That's one. I heard your name in that. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Rob Brown
it makes
Show
me
on the Fan
uncomfortable.
My name is Rob Brown alongside the great one, Lonzo. And all I picked out of that was Robo Brown and Lonzo. That's all I got. All right, welcome back. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Meechie Johnson calling his Gamecock career over as he entered the transfer portal yesterday. Now, obviously, he would have the option to come back should he elect to do so, and should Lamont Paris decide to have him back, which, let's be honest, he would. You're not saying bye-bye to your leading scorer because you got your feelings hurt, okay? You're just not. No one is. So he did announce that he is gone. The popular rumor right now is that he wants to go home and he wants to go back to Ohio State University, who will absolutely have a guy that averages 14 points a game.
I don't recall, and maybe this does happen, but how many times do people leave a school and then come back to it?
It is not necessarily leave. It's put your name in the portal and come back to it. And the answer is quite a bit. Quite a bit.
No, I mean actually go to another school and then come back to that school.
Well, you got the kid. Did you hear? I know you were on vacation. Did you hear about the kid from Iowa? Kid from Iowa leaves Iowa as a recruit, goes to Alabama, plays in Alabama for a year. Their season ends. Nick Saban quits. He transfers back to Iowa. He's on campus. He's a student there for about 61 days before he goes on a spring break trip with his old teammates and buddies down in Tuscaloosa, realizes, Kalen DeBoer is a pretty good guy, and transfers back to Alabama after 60 days in Iowa. Now, that in and of itself, honestly, doesn't really bother me all that much, all right? It's just switching jobs. What did kind of get under my skin a little bit.
Yeah, you just call it a job.
Well, it's the best comparison I have that everybody can connect with.
See, it's funny because my first thought was, is there more money to go back to Ohio? And there probably is.
Oh, there absolutely is. There absolutely
Especially
is.
where the campus is in relation to where a lot of businesses are and things like that. Yeah.
Just is. So this kid goes to Iowa, collects NIL money in the 61 days that he's there. In fact, had a dealership. You know how I always make, what's the company I always make the joke about?
Bob's Used Cars.
Bob's Used Cars. It was a car dealership that gave him a lot of money to throw up some social media posts. He got that bag and then transferred back to Alabama. You know what my initial response is to that? That's pretty dumb of you, car guy. That's on you, Bob. That's on you, Bob, owner of Bob's Used Cars. You should have probably verified that guy was going to, play football for Iowa. And for the record, stuff like this is how that market regulates itself. Stuff like this is how we get to the part where that equilibrium is struck. Because now companies are going to see that Bob's Used Cars took a bath on NIL money that they paid a kid to be a Hawkeye for 60 days, and then he go on, take the money and run woo-hoo-hoos back to Tuscaloosa. And Bob's Used Cars got like a social media post from a Bama kid out of it now, right? I think this is the market regulating itself. But yes, it sucks. It stinks. But the reality here is Ohio State's going to have more NIL opportunity for Meechie Johnson. Meechie Johnson put himself on the map this past year. He put himself on the map as a 14-point-a-game scorer. Now, before you get all up in your feels, South Carolina fans, there was another young man on this team who was critically important in that team. His name was B.J. Mack. B.J. Mack, of course, was the big dog in the middle. The big dog who got to eat very frequently. A critical part, especially in the games where Meechie's shot was off just a little bit. It was B.J. Mack that carried you. And I have a question for you, Gamecock fans mad at Meechie for leaving. When BJ Mack left, and I know it's a different set of circumstances, but when BJ Mack left Wofford and came to South Carolina, did you feel ever so bad for Wofford? Did you feel ever so bad that this cat, who was obviously going to be an impact player, left the Terriers to come over? And I know that Wofford is not a grad school, so you can't stick around there like you can at bigger schools. But the point is, a majority of the points that South Carolina scored this year en route to a historic season, a majority of those points were scored by transfers. Meechie Johnson was a transfer in. Now he's a transfer out. He was a transfer in. Now he's a transfer out. It sucks. I know. It hurts. I know. I want you to know, I feel for you. If only because South Carolina gave me a lot of content this year. And without Meechie Johnson, they don't do that on the hardwood unless they find a way to replace the guy. One of the reasons that your boy Lamont got a fat contract expansion was because the portal was intricate in your team being your team. That's why you were where you were. The portal. Your guys were portal guys. So you can't really, in my ever so humble yet frequently correct opinion, you can't get all happy, jacked up, excited, woohoo, about your team making the tournament, about your team being a first-round bye in the SEC, about your team having part of a multi-team share of second place in the SEC on a roster built out of transfers, but then look at a kid who's transferring out and going, yo, dog, screw you. Garbage, my dude. Now, a texter just wrote in and said, South Carolina is a feeder school. I have news for you. Most schools are feeder schools. Most of them are. The talent is going to gel at the top. The Georgias, the Bamas, the Ohio States. Now, I would argue that that is more prevalent in the land of football than it is in the land of basketball. I would say it matters more, that concept, in the pigskin world than it does the hardwood world, for sure, but it's still true. So this is where South Carolina feels the brunt of what I have been saying for years now. It is a new age, a new era of college athletics. If you are South Carolina and you would like to make this not happen, just like you can have guys portal out, the portal, as Hawkeye said about the Tesseract in the Avengers, it's a door. Doors open from both sides. You were successful this year because you brought in guys out of the portal who had outgrown other opportunities, and you gelled them into a real good team. That's why Lamont Paris got the bag, dudes, because you have to be able to do that. I'm going to say this. I'm going to give him credit for it. Ray Tanner and the athletic staff recognized about Lamont Paris. He very clearly knows how to work the portal. And coaches right now that can work the portal are worth their weight in gold. Mike Norvell is getting an extension, or has gotten an extension. Why? Because Mike Norvell worked the portal arguably better than anybody else in college football last year. That's why the Noles were 13-0 and national champions. Nobody beat them because they knew how to work the portal. Lamont worked the portal. So now you lost your best player to the portal. That sucks, dudes. That's awful. I hate it for you. I really do. I hate it for me because I'm selfish. I hate it for me. But you gave Lamont the bag to do it again. So now you dive back in the portal because the portal is going to be full of great players. The portal is going to be full of spectacular college basketball players. And for every Meechie who leaves a second-tier big Power 5 school to go to a blue blood, not that Ohio State's a blue blood basketball school, but it's a blue blood school as a whole. For every Meechie that leaves a second tier to go to a first tier, there's a bunch of kids at the third tier looking to come up to the second. There's a bunch of guys like Meechie who would go the other direction. Texture said Meechie would rather lose and get paid than win at USC. Like 90% of the current players, winning is not the priority. All right, first off, that's a generalization that I don't like.
And Ohio State's not that bad of a team.
True. They weren't as good as South Carolina this year.
True.
With Meechie Johnson, Ohio State might make the tournament.
Right.
Right?
So, I mean.
Second off, I don't like the generalization. I don't like the generalization. I don't like, all these kids care about some money. Yeah, a lot of them do. Absolutely. I don't know about you, Texter, but yeah, I want more money. And that's not bad. And I'm tired of pretending like it is. I am tired of people pretending like chasing the bag is a bad thing for anybody. You all do it, or at least you should. You should. Listen, I love it here. I'm perfectly content here. I'm happy if this is the last radio station I ever work for. In 70 years, you guys are listening to my old senile behind ranting and rambling on. Back in my day. I hope that happens. But at the same time, if tomorrow I get a phone call from a guy in a million-man city that says, Rob, we want to pay you 6 figures to come work here, I'm going to give the people that pay my salary the opportunity to match it. And if they say no, I'm gone. And it's not that I don't love it here. And it's not that I care about, or I don't care about making great radio. I do. I do my best. I do my best.
Come on, Rob. It's too soon. Okay. It's just too soon.
Exactly right. That's it. That's it. Respectfully and lovingly. And I'm not saying this like behind his back because I don't think he's left yet. Mark Ryan got the bag to go to a bigger market, right? So for all of the, I can't believe they would leave a place that made them for more money. Huh? And for the record, props, big dog. Congratulations. I ain't mad at you. Good on you, bro.
Enjoy the money and the snow.
Yeah, that's the 6 figures comes from having to live in the snow. Okay? The point here is I'm mad at the guy. To generalize the entire athletic world by saying, oh, they just want more money. Hey, listen, I want to do great radio. I want to win awards. I want trophies. But if you're going to give me the opportunity to chase that and the bag, I got to go. So now if you're South Carolina, you recognize where you are in the pecking order. You recognize where you stand. Do you know what a good way to get more NIL and booster money in is? Do you know what a good way to keep recruiting up? I'm pretty dumb, and I acknowledge that. But Dawn doesn't seem to be having a real tough problem building and maintaining a roster, does she?
And people kind of want to go there.
Why is that? Because if you go play for Dawn Staley, you
winning.
You're not only going to make the bag, but you're going to get the hardware to show for it. So my question is, if you're South Carolina basketball, if you're Lamont Paris, and now Meechie Johnson has kind of given you a left hook of reality, my question mark is, how do you address it? How do you move forward? How do you continue to work to create this narrative that you did a spectacular job building right now, that very soon South Carolina will be mentioned amongst the basketball blue bloods? How do you create a world where South Carolina basketball comes with the same gravitas that North Carolina basketball does? How do you create that world? And Lamont did a real good job of starting you down that path. Now he's got to replace 14 points per game in order to keep you on that path. That's literally the job nowadays. That's literally the job now. You got to be able to coach, and you got to be able to make sure that you can replace 14 points a game and keep in that direction. Let's take a break. Come back after this. My name is Rob Brown, the great Lonzo, and the ones and twos. The Rob Brown Show carries on. It is the Fan Upstate. Down, 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 down.
From here on out, every single team is going to give us a really good game. Every single team is basically a top 25 team at this point. So I'm competitive. I want to win, and I expect us to be really good all the time.
The Hawkeyes advance to the Sweet 16, Regional 2 in Albany this Saturday. 31-4 Iowa will battle 24-9 Colorado, the 5th seed. The NBA's opened an investigation into Toronto two-way player Jonte Porter amid gambling allegations. Meanwhile, Dodger star Shohei Ohtani says he never bet on sports or knowingly paid any gambling debts accumulated by his longtime interpreter. Instead, Ohtani claims his close friend lied to him for years and stole millions of dollars from the two-time MVP. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. Download the auto.
Oh, man. Hi, stream. How's everybody? You doing good?
Breaking news!
Oh, God. Earlier.
And you're gone again, by the way.
Am I? So, yeah. Christopher!
Bill Frady had trouble getting on yesterday too. I told him to try again.
This is a
Yeah, like he would know how to do that, Wesley. That's funny. Rob can't see it, so
cool.
no, it didn't.
On my side, it did.
It was always been between 90 and
Yeah, mine says
100 or
8
something.
right now.
Mine, it says 98 over here.
So StreamYard is Jack then, is what this is. Because that should not have two different numbers for the two of us.
Radio's the most important.
What?
So the radio's the most important. So
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. It is Rob Brown. It is the great one, Alonzo. Be a part of the show. The renewal by Anderson to the Carolinas fan phone is there for you. 844-FANFO-MD. That's 844-326-3663. You may text us at 71307. 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N, and we will read them on the radio broadcast if you wish to do so. Now's a spectacular time to jump on in here. So we talked about the hip drop tackle back during the water cooler cheat sheet. As we pointed out, there are specific words in writing here that have to be addressed. There are two things that have to happen in order for a hip drop tackle to be triggered. Number one, A defensive player must wrap up around the hips and the waist of the ball carrier. Number 2, he must go, they said you must de-weight yourself. I'm going to use the much more common vernacular. You have to go dead weight. If you go dead weight, if you stop supporting your own body weight in any way, shape, or form, in a way that brings you down onto the back of the legs of the ball carrier, that will be a 15-yard penalty. Now, we did see the head of the competition committee say effectively that at least early on, you're likely to see a lot more warnings, written warnings and fines than actual 15-yard flags. But much like the horse collar, when it's obvious the hip drop has been used, then they're going to call that 15-yard penalty, automatic first down for the team.
Yeah, but you say like the horse collar. I mean, the horse collar, I think you can look at it and go, yeah, that was a horse collar. It's still, there can be some iffy things if like someone's hands are big enough to grab the entire shoulder pad and it looked like the thing. But in this case, I don't know how you can clearly define this.
I think I do. I thought about it a lot after we did the cheat sheet and you asked that question because I think it's a fair one. And I thought about it basically till now. And I actually do think it might be a little bit easier to recognize. Arms around the waist. We can definitely tell if the arms are around the waist, correct? Like that's eyeball. That's pretty easy.
Unless it's a fat dude who just picked up a fumble and you're trying to get, then the arms.
Then it's not around the waist, then it's connected to the waist.
Yes.
Arms around the waist, we can tell. We can tell if a player goes dead weight. That's easy to see. Their legs just stop working. That's going dead weight. That's easy to see.
But even if momentum causes it to happen, it's still, I mean, you're running so fast, you grab them and automatically, your feet slip in the turf or on the grass, the wet grass. And so you either let go or your weight's going to be dead. So you get penalized for that. They won't look and go, okay, his feet slipped out.
I would say in the exact same way that if I go to bat a ball and I miss the ball and my hand comes down and it hits a quarterback's face mask, is that a dumb way to get penalized? Yes. Is it a penalty? Also, yes.
I'm just curious, Coach Rob Brown coaching the defense, how does Coach Rob Brown teach the defense to tackle?
Step 1, don't do that. It is going to be wrap and then spin to the side. Because the third step in the hip drop penalty being assessed is if you go dead weight onto the legs of the ball carrier. Onto the legs of the ball carrier. If I hit you around, if I wrap around the waist, I go dead weight and I am going to your side, not a hip drop tackle. If I'm going in front of you, not a hip drop tackle. If I'm going to the other side, not a hip drop tackle. It is only a hip drop and it is only a flag if you end up on the legs of the young man carrying the football. So I am saying if you are running a guy down from behind, which is where I assume 90% of the hip drop tackles, if not more, come from. If you are catching a guy from behind and you get wrapped up around the waist, do not just go straight dead weight. Get him around the waist, slow him down, and then fall to a side. Fall to the other side. I get why this call is being made, all right? I was a defensive guy. I also played a little tight end. I get why this is called. I get because of guys like the Baltimore tight end.
That's exactly what I was getting ready to say. Mr. Fahrenheit says on the stream, the NFL will need to legitimize suplex tackles. That's what I was going to say. I would teach my guys how to do a running suplex.
No, you wouldn't, because that's also against the rules.
Is it?
Yes.
You
cannot.
So specifically, it says no suplexes, because I haven't seen.
It says no suplexes, but I do think that is what they define as an exaggerated tackle, which is against the rules. Yes. You can, and I only know that because it literally happens about once a year where somebody gets where somebody gets brought to Suplex City. And it's auto flagged every time.
All right, here's what it comes down to. I think if I'm coaching the defense, I'm gonna say, hey, we're gonna have to live with some penalties. You go out there and do your job and you tackle. We're just gonna have to live with some. And I'm guessing that's what NFL coaches are gonna have to tell their players. Hey, There's no way to define entirely how you're allowed to tackle. So just do your thing.
I think that's the other thing is we're being a little dramatic here. First off, you are absolutely not telling your players that when your players start racking up hundreds of thousands of dollars of fines. They're not going to be, they're going to be like, yeah, screw you, Coach Lonzo. Absolutely not. Unless you're paying my $250,000 fine. No, I'm not doing that.
If you pay a fine and it goes directly to charity, can you write that off?
Actually, I don't know. That's a great question. I would still be willing to say that most people aren't willing to drop a $250 penalty, even if it is going to charity. I'd rather just give it to charity. So,
well, technically you're giving it to charity and you have the joy of making a tackle the way you should be allowed to tackle.
So I think here that we're being a little dramatic about this. I think J.J. Watt's being a little dramatic.
Are we though?
Yes.
Because
all the arguments you're bringing up are arguments that I can immediately go, that's not this. Oh, it's ill-defined. No, it's not. It is literally very valid in 3 steps defined in a way that is very clear on how to illustrate.
I hope that you're right and we don't have to revisit this partway through the season and you have to say, okay, I thought it was this, it's not. Because you're expecting all the referees and in the thing that you read saying they can't show it to them in practice. They can only see it in the game. So it sounds like there's a very small sample size and it's not as clearly defined.
We saw literally 2 players injured in the playoffs, including the Baltimore tight end who was critical to their offense, who did not come back until the game that they lost, who was out because of a hip drop tackle. Like it is impactful on the game.
Okay. All right. And injuries happen every single season.
I don't disagree, but we work on mitigating them, or we just go, screw it. Guy broke his leg. What are you going to do?
Robotic suits of armor. That's the only way.
See, this is what I'm saying.
And then you won't be able to lessen the impact inside of the armor, and you're going to have to fix that. And it's just, and then eventually it's just robots playing.
This is the definition.
Let them work. Let them live, Rob.
This is the definition of the slippery slope fallacy. If we do this, then obviously this worst case scenario is next.
So in your life, cause and effect are not things.
Cause and effect are not things, but you don't get to go, if I walk down this stair, the next thing you know, I'm at the bottom of the broken freaking neck. No, not necessarily.
Could be if someone's got a crowbar running behind you.
But Lonzo, if you get in your little sports cars are the most dangerous cars to drive on the interstate. You should sell it. No, you're not going to do that.
Well, I would if I could, get a lower car payment.
Lonzo, the hypothetical career.
No.
He's back from vacation. He's going to hypothetically do a sports flash now.
I'm worried that I'll still be paying on it after I retire. Whatever. And then I hit the wrong button. And you know what? I'm blaming Rob on that. Whatever. And then I didn't turn my mic on. I quit. The Atlanta Hawks, he started talking about my car and it messed me up. The Atlanta Hawks pulled off an improbable upset last night, storming back from 30 down to knock off the Boston Celtics 120-118. Boston had won 20 of 22 and was on a 9-game winning streak. The Hawks played without all-star Trae Young while trying to hang on to the final play-in spot. The win was the first 30-point rally in the NBA since 2022. Paige Beckers lifted UConn to the Sweet 16 with 32 points, 10 boards, and 6 assists in a 72-64 win over Syracuse last night. The Huskies shot 51% from the floor and 47% from the arc. Tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 for a brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, and a lot of fun. Wire to Wire. You guys are more creative than me. I mean, I'm sure you can figure it out. Last I checked, 57 is a linebacker number. But see, since we're talking about the moles on here, are already telling them that we're talking about it. So, you know, because they don't want us to have fun. So just use a hypothetical where number 57 makes tackles, illegal tackles.
Oh, man.
No, he didn't. He didn't run a comb through the hair because the wave is still there.
No.
Unless he combed the back of
It's
it.
just this one little piece over on the side over here that keeps getting a little out of control. But the wave is good today.
I'm guessing a comb would flatten that thing out. So, yeah. Real tempted to roll out Friday morning a little bit earlier down the road to the theater and go see Godzilla.
I might go with you.
Just throwing that out there.
Like if we can leave right after the show.
No, there's a showing at 11:50.
I can do that.
Okay.
I may have to go home and let the dog out first, but I can meet you there because I really like
I
big
know.
monster.
So just keep it in mind.
So I'm gonna brag for just a minute. I am off next Tuesday.
That's a rarity.
Yeah, I try not to do it often. I try not to fall into the trap of talking how incredible my life is too often. But I'll do it right here because I want to. I am off next Tuesday. Why a random Tuesday, Rob? Well, I'll tell you, especially, Rob, when you've been telling us this whole time that you are that you're going to be saving up vacation days because you get married in September and you want to take an extended period off. Why would you burn a vacation day on a random Tuesday in April? And the answer is this: because our friends at Spire Motorsports, of course, the stable for which Corey LaJoy drives, a friend of the show, who, by the way, should be on in the next couple of weeks. Our friend Corey LaJoy and Spire Motorsports, because of the coverage that we have provided in talking about Corey and having him on the show, et cetera, et cetera. I am going up on Monday to go watch my first Charlotte Hornets game in person, as a matter of fact. Monday night, I'll be watching Charlotte hosting the Brooklyn Nets. It's not the game I want to see, but it's an NBA game. All right, I'm going to an NBA game. And then on Tuesday, our friends at Spire Motorsports have invited me to go tour their garage. So on Tuesday, your boy is going full NASCAR dork. And Tuesday morning, when I should be working, I'll be taking a tour of the Spire Motorsports garage, going behind the scenes, going under the hood, as the old expression goes.
Pics and videos allowed?
I don't know yet. I want you to know I'm doing it either way. I go and not taking the pictures and the videos.
See,
I'm not ruining our friendship.
if it were me, I would, count it as a work trip.
Oh, it 100% is.
And find a way to not use my vacation day for that.
Listen, I'm very much willing to. I'm very much willing to. I'm very much engaged with this opportunity. So I'm all in. It's going to be great. So I'll be off next Tuesday. We'll be running CBS Sports Radio for you in the AM because nobody wants to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and cover the show. Follow me on social media at The Rob Brown Show. And if I am given permission and the opportunity, I will take you as behind the scenes with Spire Motorsports as I can. And you're our Charlotte Hornets. I mean, they're not mine because the New Orleans Pelicans are currently on the 5 seed and winning basketball games without Brandon Ingram, march into the 4 seed. Let's go. I will be squarely Team Charlotte that night because I need all the help I can get. So, just as a heads up, I'll be out next Tuesday. Let's respond to some text and some emails and some tweets, whatever else we got going on. Texture said, you can tackle legally real easily. Wrap up, head up, face up, and drive through that. Wait, why? Why did I?
If you recall.
That's on me.
Yeah, things had to be turned down for a reason.
Sorry. You can tackle legally real easily. Wrap up, head up, and drive through that.
You could do that, but if I'm a referee and I see any weight that looks like dead weight while you're driving through, suddenly it's a drop-down tackle.
You're only applying half the rule. Stop applying half the rule, apply the whole rule.
So you're saying referees never you're saying referees never apply half the rule.
No, referees stink and I hate them.
Right. So I stand by my statement.
Then your criticism is of the referees, not the rule.
I'm criticizing both.
Place your criticism where it's deserved.
Yeah, both.
There is, to me,
you put referees in a bad situation. They're already in a bad light anyway.
Stop stinking at your job.
Well, yeah.
Bill Vinovich.
How about let's make the job a little bit easier instead of more difficult to do.
They get paid 6 figures. The job's going to be hard. As I've said to Nick and Ryan and Dabo and all the people out there whining and complaining about their job coaching. That's why your job's a 7-figure job, because it's hard. If you don't want to do the hard job, then don't and stop taking the compensation for it. But NFL officials get paid real good because the job's hard. You've got to memorize a whole ass rule book that's dictionary thick. You've got to be able to not just recite it, but enforce it and explain it. You've got to do it in front of television cameras that are sending your big dumb face to the entire country. Yeah, it's a hard job, and you're compensated very well for it. Of course it's hard. What if, hear me out here, what if the next step, instead of banging on rules that are designed to protect the health, well-being, and longevity of National Football League offensive players, and listen, there's a bunch I'm real bad with. Incidental contact to the head of a quarterback should not be a penalty. All right? I am tired of seeing a defensive lineman swat at a football and drag his fingertips across the face mask of a quarterback, and it's an auto first. That to me should not be a penalty. I am fine with calling out a bad rule when there's a bad rule. I'm totally fine with it. Where you lose me is when it's not a bad rule, you just don't like it. And that's what this feels like to me. It's not a bad rule, you just don't like it. Because
it's a bad rule and I don't like it.
Why is it a bad rule?
Because I don't know how to tackle now.
Yes, you do. Don't throw your body weight on the legs of a player. That's literally the only thing that it says. Don't throw your body weight on the leg of a player. All right, here's how I'll say it. If this rule prevents you from knowing how to tackle, then you don't know how to tackle and you shouldn't be playing NFL ball.
If I'm running a 4-2 into someone and my weight falls on them, it's momentum. I mean, you could, so what they're trying to do is get more scoring because they're saying, slow up, think about what you're doing instead of instinctively doing what you're paid to do. And that's tackle someone. Slow up, think about it. Okay. I can't do there. Let's go right there. Oh, that looks like oh no, he scored.
So then in that, if that's the direction we're going in, instead of putting all of your body weight on Mark Andrews' legs and costing him multiple games going into the playoffs, what you should be allowed to do is just run up and punch him in the jaw because, hey, that'll bring him down.
Is that legal?
No. Have you ever complained about it? No.
Because it hasn't been tried yet. I mean, because they're running out of options. That might be a thing.
So, since
they're not defenseless, they could have put their dukes up and they didn't. So that's on them. That's on them.
Man, buddy, put your dukes up, huh? Huh? What's that word we love? Well, I'm a pugilist, huh?
Yeah, but when you do that, you gotta curl your fists back, which hurts.
You want a little bit of this, Mark Andrews, huh? I'll show you, huh? All right. Point here is, I think a lot of people are being quite dramatic about this, if we're being honest. Quite dramatic.
Until a couple bad calls on the New Orleans Saints happen, and you clearly can tell that they're not the drop down tackle, but the referee, whose name is Bill, just happens to go, that looks like a drop down tackle to me, and then suddenly you're going to be against I'm just saying.
First off, Bill Vinova you don't need to bring his name up just to make me mad. Second off,
you invoked his name earlier in the show, so I thought that meant I could do it.
As I have pointed out multiple times during this segment, let's be very clear. If that is your complaint, then your complaint is not the rule is bad. Your complaint is the officials are bad.
The rule is not clearly defined, even though you say it is. I don't believe it is. We're going to differ in opinion when it comes to this. I don't think it's clearly defined, and I think every referee will look at it in a different way.
So here's the thing. This is a spot where I risk causing contention with my colleague, coworker, producer, and friend Lonzo. Your refusal to accept the definition doesn't mean it's poorly defined. You just refuse to accept the definition. There's a difference. That's like me saying, in my opinion, it's dark outside. No, it's not. It's clearly light out.
It's darkish.
It is not.
It's definitely
light.
It's there is a percentage of darkness right now because of cloud cover. It's all perception. That's what it is. Here's the thing: until we see this in action, we're just going to go back and forth on this. And you, who are usually totally against the referees, you suddenly have all this confidence that they're going to be able to call this right every single time.
No, what I have here, first off, two things. Let me start with the first part. The first part is you can see it in action. Literally, just go watch the video they put out about it. They explain it in great detail. Exactly what it is. And not only do they explain it, but they actually illustrate 6 times the definition of what this means. 6 times. You can watch it literally right now. So it is defined and it is illustrated. This is not I don't see it that way. It doesn't matter how you see it. And when I say you, I mean anybody, myself included. Here it is illustrated. These are the rules. The second part that I would add is that, yes, Rob Brown thinks that NFL officials, by and large, not all, there are some good ones, but by and large, I absolutely think MLB and NBA and MLB umpires are bad at their jobs. And I think they're bad at their jobs because while I am pro-union, I think that the unions that rep these guys refuse to allow any sort of consequences, ramifications for guys who are evidently bad at the job, like Angel Hernandez, like Bill Buckner, guys who, coming up this Thursday, we are all going to sit down to watch opening day baseball. And some of you are going to be all jacked up, all gassed, all ready to go. Let's go, my team. And then Joe Buck or whoever is going to go, today's umpire behind home plate, Angel Hernandez. Oh, son of a... Because he's bad at his job. However, him being bad at his job is about Angel Hernandez. You know what I don't do? When Angel Hernandez is officiating the game and he's bad at it, what I don't do is go, oh, the strike zone is bad. The balk rules are bad. The pitch clock is bad. No. I go, Angel Hernandez is bad. If the officials are incapable of successfully and efficiently applying the rules to the game, that's an official's problem, not a rules problem. The second part of that conversation is that I am not here defending this rule because of any reason other than, yes, there are a lot of players over the years in the NFL who have been injured by this specific tackle. None of us, after we saw our 90th or 91st ACL popped by a guy getting horse collar tackled, none of us, when the NFL banned the horse collar tackle, came on this radio show the next day and went, oh, this is crap. How am I supposed to tackle if I can't grab a guy by the back of the collar and drag him to the ground? Nobody did that because we all went, that's a good rule. It's a good rule. It's clearly defined. It's easy to monitor. It's easy to call flags on. It's easy to prevent this situation. Not a call, not a text came into this or any other show from fans going, this is dumb. This is overextension. It's not clearly defined. Oh, the referees. A lot of calls about the referees screwing up because that's just the thing. But this is a time where people complaining about a particular rule. And it's that I can remember, with the exception of the incidental contact turning into a roughing the passer call. It used to be 5 yards for incidental contact. Now it's 15 and an auto first if a QB gets, waved at across the brow of the helmet or on the crown of the helmet. Aside from that one, which is one that, so we're clear, I'm on board. That rule stinks. Aside from that, every time the NFL has come up with a player safety rule, everybody's been on board. It's not until the defensive players like J.J. Watt yesterday unleashed their torrent of, that's not good. Can't do that. Put flags on the boys now. Which, by the way, I would like to point out, with all due respect, because I love me some J.J. Watt, one of my favorite players to watch play. JJ's a commentator now. JJ's a media guy now. JJ, like Ryan Clark, is getting paid fat stacks to have attention. So, of course, he's going to run to the oldest cliche in the books. Why don't you put flags on them now? Not an apt criticism of the rule. I'll tell you right now, and I mean this.
You question his validity right as soon as he becomes media. Okay.
Here's what I question. Do you know what JJ did not do? JJ did not provide us with a nuanced explanation of why he feels that way. He just ran straight to put a skirt on him, which is classic I don't really have an argument here. I just don't like this thing. Does it make your job harder? 100%. Hey, Lonzo, quick pop quiz question. How many times over the past couple of years have any of your bosses came to you with a directive or a command that made your job harder? I guess it's a lot of times.
The bosses at this place, they really look out for the employees, and we have like meetings and they bring up ideas, and there's a lot of back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, they listen to their employees, and we have valued opinions, and then we do what we're told to do.
That's fantastic and adorable. Answer the question.
I just said, and then we do what we're told to do.
Right.
Yeah.
So the answer was a lot. Sometimes things happen at work.
I don't know if it's a lot, but it definitely happens.
Well, I'm talking over the course of your career.
If which
You're
is
long
a really
and distinguished
yeah,
career.
I don't know about distinguished. I just if you on your bingo card had Rob defending referees today, good job, because it's like a reversal over here, and I don't.
If you had Lonzo once again
opposite day,
something that I said in order to get at me,
what was that word?
Bingo.
What was that word?
I am not defending referees. What I'm saying is
S in that word.
People like J.J. Watt, a guy that, again, was one of my favorite football players to watch play football, a guy that I am a big fan of as a player. JJ could have, it's very easy. Grab your phone, open the camera, push record, look into it and go, here are the reasons that this hip drop tackle ban is bad. Reason number 1, yada, yada, yada. Reason number 2, yada, yada, yada. Reason number 3, yada, yada, yada. And he could have done that, and then we could have had actual discourse about why this is good or bad, but that's not what he did. What he did was send a tweet that said, put flags on him. That's not a good argument.
Well, JJ, myself, and people of our ilk obviously are not knowers of ball, like you. So
this has nothing to do with knowing ball.
We're all wrong, and you're right.
Well, I appreciate you admitting that, but this has nothing to do with knowing ball. This is simply defensive guys don't like it because their job got harder. I got news for you. That stinks, and it happens to everyone who's ever had a job anywhere ever. Every day, something's going to come down the pipe that makes your job a little tougher, a little more aggravating.
Let me look up Saints defender most likely to be penalized for drop down tackle.
It's Cam Jordan, who, by the way, sent out a tweet yesterday of 5 vomit emojis. Cam's not happy about it. None of my guys on defense are happy about it. Nobody that plays defense is happy about it. And just so we're clear, I understand why you're not happy about it. My point is, you have made the game safer for ball carriers, and all you've asked of a defensive guy is if you tackle here, don't go here. If you tackle here, go over here, or go over here, or go over here. I'm illustrating on the stream because I want to point out that illustrating this is not hard.
All right. I don't often do things with video because I'm just not as skilled as Rob, but I will be pulling that later, and there will be some interesting music behind it.
Have fun.
That's all I'm saying. I'm thinking Oompa Loompa maybe. I mean, there's just some music that will work really well.
You're a bad person. You're a bad person.
Now you're seeing it.
You're a bad person. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, I got to hit the head. We'll be right back.
I got to, too. 8:20 is when that happens.
Upstate. Rob and the great one Lonzo with you. We're back. Did you know that, Lonzo? We're back on the air. We're back on the air.
I was aware.
Okay.
Yeah. I was.
I blame Captain America.
Yeah, you should.
I do. Okay, so let's switch gears. Let's talk baseball for just a moment. I don't care that we're going over our number for the week because it's opening day in...
it's also Tuesday. Man, you hitting that mark early. You messed up.
52 hours.
Okay, sure.
52 and a half out. 52 hours, 32 minutes, and 12 seconds. His first pitch of the 2023 Major League Baseball season, domestically speaking. And there is a team that I will be following quite closely this year, as will all of you. And that team, of course, is the Los Angeles Dodgers. For those of you that are Bravos fans, you, of course, will be following this team intently and intensely because there's a very good chance that the Atlanta Braves and the Los Angeles Dodgers are not just the two best teams in the National League, but the two best teams in Major League Baseball. And if they do turn out indeed to be the two best teams in Major League Baseball, there is a very good chance that those two teams could once again square off with each other in the National League Championship Series. And if that is the case, you'll obviously want to know all you can about the LA Dodgers. Here's what we know about the LA Dodgers. The Los Angeles Dodgers have, as far as I'm concerned, the second best lineup in all of baseball, behind only the Atlanta Braves. We'll make that argument later. That's not what I'm getting into here, although I very could. What's interesting about the Dodgers, obviously, is the fact that the Dodgers have spent as much money as the Dodgers have spent. The fact that Shohei Ohtani deferred the overwhelming majority of his $700 million contract to the end of his Dodgers $700 million contract, which of course then allowed the Dodgers to go out there and buy even more free agent players. Now, I'm not upset about that because the Dodgers are just doing what the rules allow the Dodgers to do. I will point out that while I respect that, acknowledge that that is within the rules and they are allowed to do it, I will also say that I obviously do have greater respect for baseball teams that build their rotation and build their lineup and build their defensive lineup from scratch, like the Baltimore Orioles have done, like the Arizona Diamondbacks have done, like the Atlanta Braves have done. To me, it's just easier to connect with a team when it is made up of guys that you have watched come up through the ranks, as opposed to guys that you watched on assorted other baseball teams who now play for yours. But I'm real interested in this team for a lot of reasons. One of the reasons that I am interested in this team is because this is, like it or not, a team that spent $1.2 billion with a B dollars to build their team. $1.2 billion. You guys know there's nothing more I love than falling back on the time illustration of what a billion is. A billion seconds is 31 years. A million seconds is 13 days. So for every $100 million, you're talking about 3 years versus 31 years of salary that the Dodgers have paid here. And basically what this says to me is the pressure is on for this team. The pressure is on for this team to me because there is nothing but success that is an option for this team. If this team fails this year, and by fails, I mean doesn't win the World Series, that's it. That's it. The only acceptable outcome, I think, for Atlanta, the acceptable outcome is probably making the NLCS. You'd be like, all right, you built a real good team, but you built it internally. There's a lot of young guys on it. Granted, a lot of guys that aren't young on it, but it's an organic team. And maybe I'm wrong for that. Maybe I should have World Series or bust expectations on Atlanta. Maybe I should feel about the Braves that the only acceptable outcome is to win the World Series. But I look at the Dodgers, and I look at the Orioles, and I look at the Yankees, and I look at some other good teams across Major League Baseball, and I feel about the Braves the way I feel about, historically, most every team except last year's Mets and this year's Dodgers. And that is, winning the World Series is the only acceptable outcome. You spent over $1.2 billion on your payroll. You brought in nothing but all-stars. You have to win the World Series, or else this and the sacrifice of, I know he's today's bad guy of the week, of the month, of the year. But Shohei Ohtani handed you the greatest gift ever, when he deferred his salary for $1 billion years. He handed you the greatest gift a baseball team could hope to receive by saying, you know what? I am good to take my money down the line. I am good to wait on this cashola. I don't need it right now. What I want you guys to do is what the Angels never did. What I want you guys to do is to build a baseball team around me, and I will give you the damn resources to make it happen. You can keep my money. I'll get it next decade. Keep my money, pay it off in 10 years, build me a team now, give me a championship now. And if you waste that, it is going to be, in my opinion, a cataclysmic failure. And I like that. I like that because, as I've mentioned, when it comes to sports, there is two reasons that we all get into sports. There are two and only two. The first is representation. It represents something about us. It represents a piece of our identity. When I go out and I watch the New Orleans Saints play in public, and I put on the black and gold, and I'm wearing the fleur-de-lis, when I am out and about in public, what people, I hope, assume about me is, oh, that guy very clearly has a deep love of New Orleans, Louisiana, which is true. The second reason that we all love sports is, and some people push back on this, I don't care, it's true, is because we as people love drama. We love drama. You can say you don't, but you do. We all love drama. Now, we all love our drama in different flavors. Some people get their drama from soap operas. Some people get their drama from movies. Some people get their drama from celebrities. Some people get their drama from following and commenting on the royal family's gossip or whatever. We all get our drama from different places. But the fact that there are so many places just illustrates the fact that we, as creatures, as animals, we love our drama. We always have, we always will. If you watched the other night, the Texas A&M game, and my dude splashed a 3 at the buzzer for the Colt that sent that game into overtime, did you come off the couch ranting, raving, hooting, and hollering like I did because you're a big Aggie fan? Probably not. I'm going to assume that the number of A&M listeners in our audience is probably quite small. There might be a few, but there ain't many. Maybe because I've been calling them a cult for like 4 years now. I don't know. But the reality here is we watched it because it was dramatic. All of a sudden, this heavy favorite, this blue blood, this team that was supposed to cakewalk their way into the Sweet 16, all of a sudden, here's the little engine that could, wearing maroon or whatever color the Ags wear. Here's the little engine that could, wearing maroon and cream. And here's this guy, a guy who had shot in his lifetime 9 3-pointers throughout his career. He had launched 9. There are guys in this tournament who put up 9 threes a game. My dog had shot 9 in his career, and he knocks down a game-tying 3 as the buzzer went off to send that game to OT. Why did we all love that? Is it because we all love the Ags? No. Is it because we all really deep down have a dying hatred for UConn? No. We got pumped about it because, and only because, it was a super dramatic moment in sports. We love our drama. That's why the Dodgers are going to be real interesting to watch this year, because there's going to be a ton of drama. We've gotten drama out of the Shohei Ohtani story. We got drama out of free agency with not just the Ohtani sweepstakes, but all of the other stories going on around the Dodgers. Their pursuit of other starting pitchers, their decision-making process about, all right, what about Clayton Kershaw? Their decision to move Mookie Betts over to shortstop as a permanent move instead of a temporary one. There's all these stories, and the reality is, with $1.2 billion on the payroll, with $1.2 billion on the payroll, you have got to believe that the ownership and the front office of this team is entering this team or entering this season with only a mentality of success or nothing. And if they don't succeed, that is $1.2 billion worth of off-season effectively wasted. Sean McDermott, the head coach of the Buffalo Bills over the weekend, was talking to the media. And somebody asked him, I'm paraphrasing the question because I don't remember exactly what it was. But paraphrasing the question, Coach, how are you evaluating the failures of your team over the past couple of years? Now, there are 32 NFL teams at the beginning of the season, all 32 NFL teams, with the exception of 1 or 2 a year, that are in a rebuild mode. All 32 teams enter the season with one goal and one goal alone: win a Lombardi. That's it. That's the goal. Lonzo, is it fair? And I toss this to the czar of idealism. Is it fair to say that a season in which an NFL team that expects to be competitive does not win the Lombardi, is it technically fair, technically correct to call that season a failure?
There can be only one winner. Everybody else failed.
Yes. So
Kansas City, the Chiefs that reside in
succeed.
Kansas City were the only ones that succeeded last year.
Unless your team is in a full-on rebuild mode.
If you're not first, you're last.
The only team that did not fail is the team that wins the Lombardi. So yes, Sean McDermott, your team, your regime so far has been a failure. Now, being a failure.
Yeah, but the fans really love him. So that makes
the fans
him
don't
successful.
love Sean McDermott. Not anymore. I think the Buffalo fans are over that guy. We'll come back around to that.
Really? Because
Yeah.
I haven't.
I
seen
have
that.
Buffalo fans. They're over this guy because you've wasted prime Josh Allen. So we'll come back to that. The point here is, yes, Sean McDermott, your tenure has been to this point a failure. Without a doubt, your tenure to this point has been a failure in that you have not succeeded. And a lot of us have believed for a hot minute now, you've got the tools to succeed. You just lack the ability. Unlike a lot of coaches who have the ability but not the tools. Winning the Commissioner's Trophy is the only checkmark of success for the LA Dodgers this year. It is the only thing that you can call a success. And much like we do whenever we see a celebrity get into trouble, get into drama, it becomes fascinatingly interesting to me. It becomes fascinatingly interesting to me that all of the investment, all of the emotion, all of the money that went into something doesn't work out. And in sports, it doesn't have any real world consequences on you or I, right? When an airline company screws the pooch, it is real world impact. When a bank screws the pooch and goes under, it has a real world impact. When a car company screws the pooch and goes under, when a social media company screws the pooch and goes under, these things have real world impacts on us. If the Dodgers fail, the only real world impact is that there's going to be a lot of folks out in California who got their feelings hurt, who are kind of bummed out because they thought they are going into the annals of history one way or the other. They are either going in as your 2024-2025 World Series champions, or they are going in
If it were a StreamYard problem, corporate or somebody would tell us, would send us an email saying they're aware of problems. We haven't seen that, which makes me think it's an inside the building problem. It just popped up on this computer and said your internet
is unstable.
Connection was restored. So it's not.
Yeah.
And two different computers.
The call is coming from inside the house.
Yes. There is a look on someone's face when they did something that caused something. And I have seen that look.
I don't.
Okay.
I just don't know what could have been done.
They were working.
That causes an unstable internet
They were working on something. Maybe someone bumped the ceiling because that's where our Wi-Fi is. It's right out there because I saw them install it. It's right between here and our office. Maybe you jumped up and hit it on purpose.
Yeah, I thought, you know what I should do? I should make my life more difficult. That's exactly.
That's what poor decisions do.
This has been stuff the whole time.
Hey, this is Diesel, and this is Cole with Wire to Wire, and we'll be live tomorrow from 3 to 7 at Eagles Markets at 410 Pelzer Highway in Easton. Stop by and say hi. We will also be giving away a $25 Eagles gift card.
Pluto TV is TV the way it should be, free. With over 300 channels, thousands of movies and TV shows costing zeros of dollars. So if you want to watch shows like Ghost, The Walking Dead, CSI, Star Trek, or The Price is Right, well, The Price is Right. It's free. Hit movies like Braveheart, Sonic the Hedgehog, Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy, or Mean Girls won't cost you a thing because everything is free. All you have to do is download the app, which, by the way, is also free. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
Hey everybody, it's Boomer Esiason here, and eBay Motors has everything you need to keep your ride or die alive. From superchargers, brakes, exhaust kits, and more. With over 122 million parts, eBay Motors levels your vehicle to its peak performance. And with eBay guaranteed
Peak performance.
your ride every time for your money back. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to bring home the win. Keep your ride
So I got a thing when I went to the Ghostbusters thing, and I forgot to bring it in for the show Saturday.
Got a thing.
But it's a ghost trap.
Nice. Was it the popcorn bucket?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not. I mean, it lights up, by the way, too. When
That's
you
awesome.
yeah, when you open it up, it has lights on either side. But I don't know how much popcorn you'd actually put in there. I don't eat popcorn anymore, but I could probably put. I'd be too worried about greasing the inside of the thing up if I put chips or something in there. I don't know. It might work good as a drink holder though, but it does have wheels and they roll pretty good. Some guy in line talked Lisa into buying one, and like soon after they were gone. I mean, that's how. And this was on Thursday night. That's how quickly they. I don't know if they had an allotment for each night or not, but they were definitely gone. It looks really cool though. I don't know if it was worth $20, but at the same time, yeah, it's worth $20. I've paid more for less.
The Rob Brown Show wrapping up hour number 3 on the broadcast. We have got in the wake of not even the wake, because the Shohei Ohtani betting scandal ain't over. So in the midst of the Shohei Ohtani betting scandal in Major League Baseball, now we have one in the NBA as well. Apparently, according to the NBA, who has opened up an investigation into a Toronto Raptors player, Jonte Porter. Apparently, Jonte Porter may have been manipulating games in order to win some bets here. At issue are prop bets involving Jonte Porter from January 26th and March 20th. In the game on the 26th, there was, according to multiple books, increased betting interest on the under for Jonte Porter props. For that night, they were set around 5.5 points, 4.5 boards, 1.5 assists. There was also an over-under for Porter's made three-pointers, which was at 0.5. So basically, will he make a three-pointer was the bet, yes or no. When it's at 0.05, you're just betting on, will this happen? So, in that game, that evening, January 26th, Porter played 4 minutes before leaving the game because of what the Raptors said was an aggravation of an eye injury from a previous game. In that game, Porter did not score, so he went the under on points. He had 3 rebounds, the under. He had 1 assist, the under, and he did not attempt a three-pointer. On all 4 props that night, the under cashed. The next day, as part of a daily report to users on betting results, DraftKings Sportsbook stated that the under on Porter's three-pointers was the biggest money winner for bettors of any NBA player props from games that evening. 2 days later, Jonte Porter played 19 minutes, scored 12, had 7 boards and 3 assists. on March 20th. Porter played 3 minutes before exiting because of what the Raptors said was an illness. He did not return to that game. He did not score. He had 1 shot attempt and 2 rebounds. The over-unders that night were set at 7.5 and 5.5. The next day, DraftKings Sportsbook reported in the media release that Porter's prop bets were the number 1 moneymaker for the night on the NBA. At least one other sportsbook detected unusual betting interest on the Porter props in the games in question. A sportsbook industry source told ESPN that multiple betting accounts attempted to bet large amounts, upwards of 20 grand in at least one case, on Porter unders in those 2 games. Betting limits on NBA player props vary by sportsbook, but are usually around a max bet of between $1,000 and $2,000. Multiple outlets tried to bet upwards of 10 or 20,000 plus in games that Jontay Porter checked in, played long enough to register. Because if you make a bet on a guy, let's say I make a bet on over under 1.5 3-pointers made, if he checks in and he plays 3, 4, 5 minutes, and then he checks out and he doesn't come back, that bet is still on the books. But if I make that bet and that guy doesn't play, then that bet's canceled out. I don't have to pay them. They don't have to pay me. So this is really interesting. And I will say this, as a sports wagerer, as a gambler, as a bettor, as somebody who enjoys this stuff, we need to be real careful about the direction we're going in. We need to be real careful and have real accountability for this. Joey B said, bad day to be Porter's interpreter. You will not need an interpreter for the crystal clear sports flash that Lonzo was about to deliver.
The Atlanta Hawks pulled off an improbable upset last night, storming back from 30 down to knock off the Boston Celtics 120-118. Boston had won 20-22 and was on a 9-game winning streak. The Hawks played without All-Star Trae Young while trying to hang on to the final play-in spot. The win was the first 30-point rally in the NBA since 2022. Lamont Paris will have to replace a lot of points next year as Gamecocks leading scorer Meechie Johnson is entering the transfer portal. Johnson said he's also considering the NBA draft. Johnson, who transferred to South Carolina 2 years ago, averaged 13.8 points and helped the team to the NCAA tournament as a 6th seed. Make sure you tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 for a brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, and a lot of fun. Wire to Wire.
The clutch gene is rare, boys. We got it, though.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Some things just can't be taught.
And you can't teach that.
I'm Bobber, founder and chairman of Burp America Hardware, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC.
So when one of your tasks is to take out the trash, you know you got to take out the trash when you get home. Do you wait until it's almost time for someone else to come home to take out the trash, or do you just do it when you get home?
When I get home, if I don't do whatever needs to be done immediately, it ain't getting done.
Yeah, I had that problem yesterday. I crashed hard.
Yep.
But I was coming off of vacation, trying to get back in the sleep pattern. I knew I was not going to last that long. To the point, my wife was working from home yesterday, and then she came in there at 5:30. She's like, "Do you want to get up?" I'm like, "No, but I should." In my defense, I was probably like after 4, so it was like an hour nap.
I
But
only have like 3 hours a night with the fiance. So I usually try to time it out where I lay down about 3:30 because she gets home about 5:30. So that way when she gets home, I'm like, all right, I got to get up. Christopher.
Hi there. Other than the thing we already talked about this morning, do you have any
The internet sucks
yes,
a lot.
yes. And when we have this problem, and I've had this problem on this computer too, which is not StreamYard. It disconnected from the internet and said your internet has been restored.
You're welcome.
I don't get it, Nolan. Get what? Why are you posting pictures of Casper or video?
Did you read the quote?
Yes, I did. No, I thank IT all the time. We have a really good working relationship with engineering, especially since they used to be in our office with us.
One of us.
Yes.
One of us.
Yeah!
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 It is the final hour of the Rob Brown radio program. Right here on the Fan Upstate.
My loins have been tingling.
Don't continue what's going on the stream with playing that stuff. Stop it.
Fine. I won't have fun.
You little weirdo.
Yeah, no fun here. We don't do that here. Strictly sports and stats and harsh opinions.
Yeah, I don't know.
Shut the hell up.
Wait, where's Chuck?
You just sit at home in your grandma's basement with your drawers on, typing on your damn keyboard. Shut the hell up.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
So, we got a lot of stuff to get to as we wrap up the final 60 of the show, and I want to start. I feel like you played that one just to play it, which I'm good with.
No, there's a connected theme between that and everything that was. I mean, if you listen closely, yeah.
I owe you an apology. I wasn't really familiar with your game.
There was an interesting conversation that
No
took
kind of
place.
saying it's you're wrong.
Interesting conversation that took place yesterday on ESPN between Unc Shay Shay, Shannon Sharp, and Jay Will. The conversation hath been ongoing about the NCAA tournament, of which we all have to wait a few more days before we get the Sweet 16 games underway.
It's only day after tomorrow. If you think about it that way, it doesn't seem as far away, does it?
Day after tomorrow. That was a movie, right?
Yeah, it was a global warming thingy. The world froze over or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, that's right. It had what's his face in it. It had Dennis Quaid in it.
Oh, I thought it was a James Bond was in it.
No.
Okay, like Pierce Bronson.
It was Dennis Quaid and Jake Gyllenhaal and what's my girl's name? She was Christine in Phantom of the Opera as well. Emmy Ross.
Oh yeah, I know who that is.
Smoke Show. Anyway, that was
she
a good
played
movie.
Bulma in the horrible Dragon Ball Z adaptation movie. Yeah,
interesting.
That's the first time I ever saw her on screen. Yes.
Anyway, as we get ready for the Sweet 16, there is an ongoing discussion about the possibility of expanding the NCAA tournament. And there's a lot of different angles to that discussion. You have Greg Sankey and Kevin Keynes, the head coach at NC State. They feel like you should expand the tournament, but those invitations, the extended invitations, should be reserved for Power 5 conference teams. Because, hey, it's hard to win a Power 5 conference, and it's only getting harder with the expansion specifically of the Big Ten and of the Southeastern Conference, but with SMU and Stanford and Cal joining the ACC as well. So their argument is, hey, it's dramatically harder for us to win our conference. And so therefore, a lot of deserving teams like Wake Forest, are being left out of this tournament in favor of the mid-majors. We should not make it easier for the mid-majors to get in. And then you've got the other side of the equation. People like me who have been saying, hey, listen, it's supposed to be hard to get into this tournament. That's kind of the point. It's kind of the point. And yes, unfortunately, with a limited field, there are going to be teams that we consider to be snubbed every year. But the magic of the dance is in Oakland beating Kentucky, is it not? The magic of the dance is the drama of Grand Canyon University getting a first-round win. The magic of the dance, frankly, I think Diesel said it the other day, the magic of the dance is the mid-majors. They are the wild cards. And even though it is rare that a mid-major wins the whole thing, the mid-majors certainly shape it.
False dreams. That's all it is. It's just it's media contrived, put in there just so they could have something. Look, this team who's not going to win it all looks like they could win it all, and then they don't.
Yeah, but I would point out it was because they were a successful mid-major that Creighton is now Creighton. That San Diego State is San Diego State, although they're not in a mid-major. Technically, they are. It is the mid-majors that have given us so much drama in this tournament over the years, A, and B, it is a successful string of mid-major runs that elevates mid-major teams into teams that we care about. We care about them. It is runs like Creighton and Gonzaga that turn teams like Creighton and Gonzaga into Creighton and Gonzaga. Much like I said with South Carolina earlier with the announcement that Meechie Johnson is hitting the transfer portal and likely headed back to an Ohio State University. If South Carolina wants to get to the point that they don't
That was
have,
disrespectful.
congrats on your natty. If they want to get to the point that they don't have,
Got more than your school.
that they don't have the Meechie Johnsons of the world transferring away from them, then there's a very easy way to do it.
Bless you.
Thanks. I don't think anybody heard it. Did
Yeah,
they?
was it, no. Well, I don't know.
I feel like I nailed that.
The tactical, you were on it.
I feel like I nailed that. Then what they need to do is go on a multi-year string of successes like this year's. It's on Lamont Paris to successfully navigate both recruiting and the portal. It's up to Lamont Paris to successfully keep South Carolina basketball talent in the Palmetto State and stop the exodus of basketball talent, of which there is plenty in this state, from departing for North Carolina or Florida or wherever they might be going. And if you do that for a couple of years and you make that run despite the odds never being in your favor, then all of a sudden, South Carolina finally catches the blue blood label. Well, not blue blood, but they finally catch the powerhouse label. And it creates a situation where the Meechie Johnsons of the world are coming to you, not running away from you. Well, the same is true about mid-majors making it into the upper echelon of basketball. All you have to do, and I acknowledge that it's tough. I acknowledge the odds are not in your favor in accomplishing this. But all you have to do is make a couple of tournament runs, and all of a sudden people are going, hey, that Shaka Smart fella has got something cooking there at whatever school he's at nowadays. I mean, he's at Marquette now, but I meant before he got there. That's how names get brought up. And eventually, you become a Gonzaga, a Dayton. You become a school that it's more shocking when you don't make the tournament than when you do. So I've always been in favor of keeping the tournament at 64. 8, whatever. Keep the tournament where it is and keep it as prestigious as it is. But Jay Will on ESPN brought up a point that I found kind of compelling, and I wonder if you do as well. Here's what he said.
Throughout the college basketball regular season, when I talk to fans of basketball, it's hard for them to tell me who plays for all these teams with the transfer portal, with conference realignment, right? So the reason why I said expand the tournament, almost in a way like the playing game. Like the playing game makes you pay attention to the regular season even more. Because you're like, hold on, man. Like, what is it going to be? Like, are we talking about Phoenix? Could Phoenix drop to the play-in game? Do we want Phoenix to be in the play-in game? It creates extra attention. So I want to create extra attention throughout the course of the regular season for some of these teams that most people don't pay attention to until we get to the tournament. So if you're a top 16 seed and you get a bye, all of a sudden it gives you something to play for. It gives people something to pay attention to. I'm trying to find different ways to hook the fan base to pay attention to our sport. I know we do, but the everyday fan, all of a sudden when these brackets come out, they're like, tell me who's Dalton Connect. I'm like, you want me now to tell you who Dalton Connect is? He's been destroying people throughout the course of the regular season. So I'm trying to make our sport even more relevant during periods of time where it loses to football and the NBA. I know they'll never compete, but I'm trying to give extra edge to it.
I don't hate the take. I don't hate the take at all. He brings up a point. Anything you can do, if you're college basketball, anything that you can do to get eyes on the product is good. Now, I don't say this about a lot of other sports. About a lot of other sports, my thought has always been more eyes on the product doesn't necessarily mean anything. Or from the perspective that I am in now as a host of a sports talk radio program, I get a little frustrated when it's December, we're in the thick of conference play in college basketball. And I want to talk conference basketball. And when I bring up conference basketball, hell, sometimes even about the local schools, I'm like, hey, let's talk Carolina ball. I was trying to talk Carolina ball about halfway through the season when I looked at this team and went, hey, this team's pretty good. This team's got a chance to do something special this year. And I would bring it up. And what did I get? What did I get? Rob, we don't want to talk about this. South Carolina's on the bye. Break down that Vanderbilt game in 2 weeks. That's what we want to talk about. Hey, Rob, somebody told me the other day that Clemson is going to start wearing purple socks with their orange uniforms. Break that down for me. How do we get there? And I'm going, it is, as a sports guy, it's a damn shame that college basketball is currently, right now, in the thick of it. Right now, it is at a prime part of the year. And I feel like anytime I brought it up, I've made a great mistake. And so Jay Will is
20 years ago, or maybe 30 years ago, college basketball would have been relevant, but it is no longer relevant because of a lot of things, including one and done and the best players going to the NBA. But now it has a chance to work its way back. As I've said before, the positives of NIL could help basketball a lot because guys will stay at their universities a little bit longer, play a little bit longer, as long as the money is flowing good, and have a chance to get better as a team, maybe. But right now, the product is not that good. And I know the narrative, oh, look at the defense and things like that. But in a society where scoring is the most important thing, college basketball isn't there unless you're like Purdue and some of those teams that actually scored 100 points last game, which I was really shocked about. I think what 3 teams scored over 100 points. That's a rarity, or it appears to be in college basketball. I want to be a college basketball fan. I really do, but I can't. The product is. I really struggle with watching it. South Carolina. You were just talking about South Carolina. What was it, like a 7 or 8 minute drought of not scoring a point when they lost a game and got kicked out of the tournament? When if they would have continued to actually score the basketball, they would have had a chance to win the game. Yeah, but they couldn't. It wasn't because of defense. Their buckets weren't dropping. Their shot selection, they had open shots. They just couldn't make them.
I mean, again, this is the same to me. And it may be considered a reach by some. That's okay. I'll take it if it is. It is the same argument that I have when I see people in the heat of March. When you've got women's college games like we did last night, Iowa and West Virginia in a dogfight, UConn, Syracuse in a dogfight. When you got good games, and I hear people say, Rob, the reason that I can't get into it is because the women just aren't as athletic as the dudes. When a basic generic 2-hand slam is considered like a historic moment in the game, I can't get into it. And my response to that has always been, you have to drop the mentality that X needs to be Y. It doesn't.
By the way, you switched to the women's game. I thought we were talking about the men's game.
So you ignored what I said. I get it.
The women's game is great.
The point that I'm making
because they have pure shooters and they don't have to worry about all the, hey, I'm going to make a highlight by the slam and all that kind of thing.
The point that I'm making here is not to you, but when I am talking to people that tell me I can't watch the women's game because it doesn't have the same physicality and athleticism as the men's game, then what I say to you is you have to drop the mentality that it has to be the same thing to be good. Because what you are describing is an NBA paradigm through which you view college basketball. It's a different type of basketball. Still basketball. At its core, it's the same game. But it's a different type of basketball. If you are checking in and you are expecting an over-under in a college game of 39, then yeah, you're going to be disappointed. But the college game is set up to place importance on every aspect of the game, unlike the NBA, which even the NBA has recently admitted has over the years developed a bias towards the offense.
All right. And you think, I think some people may think I'm joking, but when it's a halftime score and it's like 20 to 15,
that doesn't happen.
That is a problem. That is a problem.
The lowest halftime score in the entire tournament was by a 16 seed, and they had 20. It doesn't happen.
Well,
every other game, your halftime scores are in the 30s.
You just said it happened.
It happened by a 16 seed that got ran out of the gym.
Okay, but
right, but you're using the exception as the rule.
Well, I guess I have the bad luck of tuning into games that are like that. I guess I just have the bad luck of going, okay, let me give this game a chance, right, and that's the game that I watch.
You're doing exactly what I said. You're expecting what? Okay, college scores need to average what at halftime to be interesting to you?
40.
40.
Yes.
Most of them do. Most of them are in the upper 30s to low 40s at halftime. This is, I think that, and I think the other aspect is there's 350 some odd Division I teams. All right. I'm not saying that you need to carve time out of your night to go watch the Colgate Red Raiders play basketball in the regular season. I am saying if you watch Kentucky, Tennessee in the regular season, it's good basketball. It's good basketball. And I think if you watch Kentucky, Tennessee in the regular season, we could make it interesting. Now, I have mentioned a number of times that when it comes to college football, I actually don't love the idea of the bye week in the college football playoffs. I don't like the idea of a bye week. And I certainly don't like the idea of the bye week if the bye weeks are prescribed to two conferences and everybody else can go bleep off. I don't love that. In college basketball, I actually kind of like, if you are going to go through tournament expansion, which Jay Will is arguing for here, if you're going to expand it, and you got to expand it by multiples of what? 4, 8, technically, if you want to keep, even brackets across the board. If you're going to expand it by multiples of 8, and let's say you're going to go up to, 80 teams. I actually would be okay if we decided that champions of the Power 5 conferences plus the highest 3 ranked at-large conference champions or mid-major champions, they all get first-round byes. They all got to play one fewer game. And we basically have a play-in big bracket tournament that follows with the start of the actual tournament where you run into the Power 5 champions and the highest 3 rated or 12 highest rated mid-major conference champions. And then we can even go down the road of having the discussion, all right, should there be a reward for a team that wins the conference regular season? Because if the conference regular season champion gets some sort of tournament reward, now all of the sudden that December 23rd night game on a Wednesday between Kentucky and Tennessee, now all of a sudden that game has a lot of weight to it. Because it's not just about seeding anymore. Now it's about seeding and does this team catch a bye, not in the conference tournament, but in the regular tournament. And if you find a way to create some sort of reward system, maybe you double the size of the tournament. Maybe you come up with a 64-team play-in tournament that opens it up to all the mid-majors. You have a 64-team play-in tournament. You still have the regular team. You have a field of 32 over here, right? So you got 32 first-rounders. Then you got a 64-team play-in tournament. And the winners of 32 of those games fill out the other side of the bracket.
Or here's a great way to get attention to the college game in like the middle of the season. Let's have a mid-season tournament and crown a mid-season champion, because that really worked for the NBA.
For the record, it absolutely did work for the NBA. The numbers on it were good. Good enough they're bringing it back. The NBA doesn't bring it back if it doesn't turn numbers. The numbers on that were good. You don't have to like it. You can think it's a dumb idea. The reality is it worked and people liked it. The numbers prove that.
All right. I don't like it. I think it's a dumb idea.
I know you don't. But the numbers prove that you're in the minority, not the majority on that. I'm actually not against the concept of an in-season tournament at the college level. I'm good with it. I think it'd be great.
As long as there's betting involved, it will get people interested because that's the main reason why people are interested in.
Nope, you
sure
don't. You don't get to prescribe why people like a thing that you don't like. I don't like it. Therefore, the only reason you don't like it is because, or you like it is because you get to gamble.
Well, we give opinions here on the radio. That's one of the things that we're supposed to do.
You get to give your opinion.
Right.
You don't get to tell me what mine is.
I did not
yes, you
say
just
that
said,
you
as long as people can gamble on it, they'll like it. Why can't they like it? Because it's good, entertaining
I
basketball
don't
for a
consider
trophy.
you people. You're Rob.
I mean, that's true. I agree with that. That is the correct opinion. That's an opinion I'll allow. The point here is I like Jay Will's idea. And I think if we expand it and we do it in a way that there are rewards for success in the regular season, and we do it in a way that, imagine how much different Clemson approaches that ACC tournament if they know an ACC tournament championship gets them like 3 rounds of bye, like 3 byes. You don't have to play until the round of 32. Now, all of a sudden, that tournament means a hell of a lot more, doesn't it? Anything you can do to increase importance on in particular games and particular postseason games, I'm actually on board for it. Jay Will won me over with this argument. I like it. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
I must have a tell on my face that says I have to go to the restroom, just so you can stretch it so I can't go.
You want me to? I'm gonna make you a sound clip trade. I'm gonna trade you Giannis's "I Have to Tinkle" for.
No, I got my shoes. I just didn't want to play.
All right, guys, I'm going to step away for 45 seconds. I'll be right back. Y'all stay right there.
So, James, you keep using that word. I'm not sure you know what it means. Contrarian is having a different opinion just to have a different opinion. You know, sometimes people, believe it or not, have different opinions. And if you're listening to a show where everybody has the same opinion, it's NPR.
What's that is not true. What is
Same opinion with the same voice?
What's the old expression? Opinions are like buttholes. Everybody's got one, and they all stink.
See, it sounds less offensive with the
I feel
NPR
like it should
voice.
be everybody's got one, and most of them stink.
Well,
Not
to
mine,
whose
though.
doesn't stink?
Mine smells like roses.
Does it? Okay, I'll take your word for it. As Drew McIntyre said last night, keep it PG, Rob. P digits. I mean, I can't tell if you're like saying something about morning people or you're saying good morning because there's no. I mean, you know.
Oh, we have breaking news. I tell you now instead of calling for it in the segment.
Okay. I wasn't.
You gave
I
me
was.
an eye roll.
No, I did not. That was me looking at the screen.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes my head moves and my eyes have to catch up.
We do have breaking news brought to you by our friends at BetQL. Be a better, be smarter, and beat the books. With our friends at BetQL, go to BetQL.com, get the BetQL app, and listen to the BetQL network on the Odyssey app, including Bet for the Cycle, which airs every Saturday from noon to 4, hosted by former Major League Baseball player Cody Decker, and yours truly. This Saturday marks a big day on the Bet for the Cycle calendar. Why? You might ask. It's because Thursday is opening day, which means Bet for the Cycle returns to its roots. We're talking baseball coming up on Saturday from noon to 4.
Wait, was that the breaking news?
No.
Oh, okay.
The breaking news is that owners have voted to go with the new NFL kickoff rules. Here is what Jeff Darlington has to say about it. He said, before realizing that he still has his computer muted, clicks on mute, and then says, here's what Jeff Darlington has to say about it.
The National Football League wants to juice things up while still pursuing their continued desire to improve safety on the game's most dangerous play, the kickoff. Two major rule changes at this year's annual league meetings are being considered. The first and most significant,
They've been
the
approved.
NFL is considering adopting the kickoff rules used by the XFL.
This is
the
old.
NFL saw kick returns on just 22% of kickoff in 2023.
They just approved it. Did you get that?
Under the new rule, the kicker would remain in his normal spot. The rest of the kickoff team would line up on the receiving team's 40-yard line.
It's the other side
and the
of the field.
receiving team would line up 5 yards away
5 yards
on
from
their
the
35-yard line.
From the kicking
Nobody
team.
would be allowed to move past those lines until the ball is touched or reaches the target zone, the area from the 20-yard line to the goal line. The next proposal would also impact the kickoff. After only 5.2% of onside kicks were recovered in 2023, and just 2 surprise onside kicks, the competition committee is looking for some give and take. The new rule would allow the kicking team to utilize an unbalanced formation, with 6 players on one side of the kicker and 4 on the other, to raise the odds of a recovery.
More on
But
one
in
side.
order to do so, the kicking team would be required to declare their intentions
Put
of an
space
onside
between
kick
more
before the
on
play.
instead of
That's
what.
necessary since that other kickoff proposal has a new setup zone. As a result of these proposals, touchbacks could also change. If
All
the-
right, that's enough of that. You get it, right?
All right,
You get it.
I love the first thing I heard is the NFL has decided to juice things up, and all I could think of is, wasn't there a producer or somebody, a writer that said, maybe we should change those words right there because that's just not that doesn't work for them, for me, for us.
It was kind of a weird way to put it. So the new rule states that it's the XFL model, effectively. But if you don't know what the XFL model is, then I will do my best to explain it. The team that is kicking from this point forward would see their team line up on the 35-yard line on the opposite side of the field. The kicker would still kick from the same place. The kicking team would see the other 10 players lined up on the 35 on the other side of the field. The receiving team would see their players line up on the 30 on that same side of the field. So they are 5 yards apart from each other. When the ball is kicked, the ball must land in the landing zone. That landing zone is between the goal line and the 20. If the ball lands inside the landing zone, it must be fielded. Now, the kickoff returner has free reign. No one can move until the ball is caught. Once the ball is caught, the receiving team can then take a couple of steps back to form the wall. They can go ahead and start running towards the 5 yards towards the kicking team.
All right, I'm not trying to be that guy that I'm always accused of. What if the kick returner bobbles the ball?
As soon as it's touched, it's live.
Because you said catch.
Touched.
Okay, well, you said catch.
All right,
okay,
sorry.
yeah,
Touched.
that's all right.
If
all
the
right.
kick, as soon as the kick returner touches the football, the ball is live. So just like normal, if the kick returner comes up, and this is going to be a wager, right? Because if you're the kicking team, you might, if you got a kickoff guy who's put a couple on the ground, you might want to kick it to have it land right at the 20 and have him maybe bobble the ball and put your guys there. Plus, it's a shorter distance for them to go to the landing spot for the tackle versus if you kick it back to the goal line. You kick it back to the goal line, and that kicker that kickoff returner has a little bit more room to operate. But it's also more space for your guys to get the tackle behind the touchback line. If the ball goes into the end zone, it will be a touchback and will come out to, if I recall, the 35-yard line. If it goes out of bounds, I believe it comes back out to the 40, just like it does traditionally. So those rules stay in place. But basically, there is a rectangle where the ball can land to be returned. That is past the 20 and inside of the goal line, sideline to sideline. If it lands in that box, it must be fielded. And as soon as it is touched, both teams can move on both sides of the ball. So that's basically what you have here. You have the landing zone implication. You have the kicker from the 35 on the far side. The kicking team will now be lined up on the 40, on the 35, the receiving team on the 30, or is it the 40 and the 35? I don't know, either way. So that's going to be the new rule. The XFL had them lined up, kicking team on the 35, receiving team on the 30, and the kick returner would go from there. So that new rule, either way, however you line it up, that new rule is approved. I'm looking at the diagram right now. It appears that the kicking team would be lined up on the 40 and the kicking team on the 35. So they are modifying it. They are backing up just a little bit. That's what it looks like it's going to be. It is going to be the kickoff team lined up at the 40, which is called the kickoff start line. The setup zone at the 35. There is a neutral zone in between the two of them. 29 of the 32 teams voted in favor of the new kickoff rule. The 3 dissenters were the Packers, the 49ers, and the Raiders. All said that they are out. They are not on board with that. So there you have it. That's the new rule. And the owners have approved it. That's the new rule. The owners have approved it. They're all on board at this point. So the NFL's kickoffs are going to look dramatically different this coming up year. They will look nothing like you remember them unless you watch the XFL, and then they'll look exactly like you remember them. So there you have it, kids. Breaking news brought to you by BetQL. Be a better, be smarter, beat the books with our friends at BetQL.
They did make more importance for a kicker to be more accurate.
Oh, for sure.
Because they have to make sure they drop it in a certain zone. And then there's strategy involved on whether you're going to take the ball out and get it, what was that, the 40, I think it was, at a video I watched yesterday, or if you're going to fair catch. There's just so many things involved in the thing. I think they're overcomplicating it. But the players are going to be safer.
Yeah, listen, I don't mind injecting spots where strategy becomes a part of the game.
So these things filter down because this is the highest level. At what point will this make it all the way down to high school?
Soon. It's unlikely if the NFL has truly decided, done the research, run the numbers, and analyze the injury rate.
Or is this a 1-year trial? Because they do a lot of 1-year trials.
They do. I will say that I think, and listen, I'm going to be clear. This is one of those spots.
This is a pretty drastic change.
It's a huge change. This is one of those spots where I am jaded. I believe that considering the NFL has begun to lose lawsuits about the health and well-being of alumni, now the NFL is going to get much more serious about player health. This is where the hip drop tackle ban's coming from too. I believe the NFL is getting much more sincere.
By the way, that was an eye roll. The other
Yeah,
thing
no, I
was-
saw that
yeah,
one. That one was easy.
Yeah.
I think that the NFL is about to get much more sincere about protecting player safety than they have been in years gone by now, because it's going to start costing them money. And as I have said many times, you can do a lot in and around the NFL that would trigger the moral compass of most people and would get you fired from most jobs. And it won't in the NFL. You might take a slap on the wrist. You might catch a short suspension. You might catch a fine, but it won't get you canned, and it would in the real world. There is one and one only act that you can commit as an employee of the National Football League, as a coach, as a player, as an administrator, as an owner. The only crime in the eyes of the shield that you can commit that will get you kicked is threatening the owner's money. That's it. That's the rule. Every time that you see a guy take a punishment that is more harsh than usual, Dan Snyder, it is because you have threatened the bottom line. Dan Snyder is not gone as the owner of the Washington Commanders, because Dan Snyder was a terrible person. He's not gone because he was a terrible person. He's not gone because he was a bad owner. He's not gone for any reason other than he had done so much, and all of that had come to light in a way that the reputation of the Shield was stained more than it regularly is. And in staining the reputation of the league, they were getting to a point where they were concerned this might start impacting viewership. Once you add the stories about the cheerleaders being obligated to do bikini photo shoots and, be photographed topless and spend time in their swimsuits around corporate sponsors, once all that came out and society at large went, yeah, that's real gross, Dan. That's a real gross way to act and behave, my guy. That's kind of disgusting. It got to the point where there was enough outrage where the owners went, people are going to stop watching, all of us, because of the actions of this jerk. That's what happened to Jerry Richardson. It's what happened to Dan Snyder. And I think that is partially the drive behind the rule changes that we are seeing right now. The banning of the hip drop tackle and the new kickoff rules. Why would you ban the hip drop tackle but not the tush push? Well, nobody's getting hurt in the tush push. Nobody's getting banged up. There's not, at least that we've seen yet, not any litigation coming down the pipe years down the road from the tush push. But there is
Jason Kelsey retired, so the only team that could effectively do the tush push may not be able to do it now.
it's going to get figured out at some point. I heard him tell the story on the New Heights pod about how they came up with, they brought in like a professional rugby player from Australia, and he taught them how a rugby scrum works. And he basically said the tush push is a rugby scrum. That's all it is. It's a glorified, modified, adapted rugby scrum. And because it's a glorified, modified, adopted rugby scrum, at some point, some other team's going to do the same thing. They're going to call in a member of the New Zealand All Blacks and be like, teach us how to do a tush push, man. But they're not going to ban it because only a couple of teams have tried it with regularity and nobody seems to be getting hurt. People were getting injured on the kickoffs at a higher rate than any other play in football. And the hip drop tackle was seeing more players injured by it than any other style of tackle. So it's out. All of the rules to protect quarterbacks are there because the NFL is worse, whether you want to admit it or not. When the NFL has star quarterbacks on the sideline, the interest in those stars' games goes down. So they go, how do we protect that? How do we make sure we aren't losing quarterbacks to dumb injuries? And the answer is you protect them with everything you got. So how do you protect yourself from future litigation, from future lawsuits, from NFL players who go, I played in the league, I was a special teams ace, and now my brains are scrambled. And the NFL's losing those lawsuits more than they're not. So now what they're doing is they are trying. But on top of trying to minimize the number of lawsuits, they are also creating a world in which when those lawsuits down the pipe do come, hopefully fewer of them if you are the NFL, you are creating a world where down the line when those lawsuits start to pop up, you now have a defense. You now have a defense. We actually did. We changed the entire rules around one of the, 4 fundamental plays of football. The field goal, the pass, the run, and the kickoff. Those are the 4. We fundamentally changed the game because we understood the risk of injury at that spot. So you can't sue us because you know there was a danger. We know there was a danger. We minimized the danger to the best of our ability. Don't sue us. And I think that's where that rule change comes from. I don't have an issue with it. I mean, yes, is it going to be dramatically different than we've ever seen before? Of course it is. But every year we have dramatically different things than we've ever seen before. And yet the NFL chugs along. Let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute and wrap this bad boy up. My name is Rob Brown. He's the great one, Lonzo. It's the Rob Brown Show. It's the Fan Upstate.
So it's that thing where I don't have so much work to do after the show, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to approach it.
Existentialism.
I'll do as I always do. I will organize for 20 minutes, get everything prepared, and then I will
take a nap,
kick its butt if, I don't get distracted.
You know what I spent time yesterday doing legitimately as part of my life, a decision that I actually made? I taught myself how to get better at writing words that have a X in them in cursive. Because I used to like write the X because you have to do the little wave and then you got to
go back
and cross it.
Yeah.
What I used to do is write the X, stop, cross it, then pick up. But the problem is then you got to like be real precise about where you put your pen back down.
It's like dotted and I are crossing the T. You come back and do it after you finish the word.
Right.
Yeah.
But what happened was I got into a role where I was coming back to I would write the X, then cross it, then continue on with the word. And then that created a break in the word, which the whole point of cursive is to not break your pen strike while you're writing. So I literally spent time, probably a solid 30 minutes last night, drilling myself in not stopping the word. Just put the first half of the X, finish the word, then come back with the X cross because I am a loser.
By the way, Bob Barker's iconic estate is up for sale now for $2,988,000.
Well.
So if you were interested, doesn't look that big. Looks like Spanish style. What kind of style is that? A Spanish style? It's a Spanish style. It's not a ranch though. It's a 2-story.
You can buy it if
Looks like it has a gabled roof type thing. So yeah, it's very old school. It's old school as far as mansions go.
If the price is right.
If the price is right.
I had to hang on that for a second.
I should have caught it, but I was, We talked about that earlier, but I am going to bring it back up in X. I don't normally do that, but we did in the first hour, Wesley. Because it's one of two things that are trending a bunch. And the other one we're going to bring up too. But not first, because we're going to have fun first. It is sports related because he ran away and hasn't been caught yet. So, I mean, it's kind of like track. I don't know. The things he's accused of, though, not funny at all. We just got our annual reminder of what not to do on April Fool's Day. And it's very descriptive. All right, time to ask Rob what the X is going on. The first thing that's Xing is Jim Cornette.
Jim Cornette is Xing, which means he got into it with an active wrestler on Twitter again.
No, he is Xing because of CM Punk referenced his podcast.
He did.
So that podcast they referenced, I'm like, man, I've heard of that before. What is that? I didn't know what it was until later because, that was a kind of a crack at
He did.
at McAfee, and it didn't really work.
I actually thought it was great, especially considering the reason he made the run at McAfee.
It didn't work for me because I didn't know what the podcast was. Yeah.
It was great. He actually referenced the Busted Open pod. He also referenced McAfee's as a. I'm going to tell you right now, Raw last night was spectacular. So you've made it through that segment.
I've seen bits and pieces.
Okay.
I haven't seen
Then
it as a whole.
I won't get too deep into it.
No, I know what happens. He
Okay.
beats him up and then he takes the belt out and yeah.
None of that.
Okay.
There is about 12 minutes. So Punk comes out to do his
Oh, I saw
Chicago
that.
Loves Me.
Yeah.
Then McIntyre comes out.
Saw that.
McIntyre's incredible,
Yeah.
just trolling Punk. Then
Keep it
Seth
PG.
comes out.
Yeah.
And then those three fellas spent about 12 minutes just freeing it on the mic. And it was art. It was so good. It was CM Punk calling Seth and Drew a couple of dip and Drew grabbing the mic and going, yo, PG brother. Like, it was great. McIntyre dropped the line on Punk. He goes, for being such a straight edge guy, it's hilarious that you spend all your time in therapy. I'm like,
No, rehab.
Oh, rehab. That's
Yeah,
it.
you gotta say that right. Because
What a line.
you lose the joke if you go therapy.
Dude, that segment was so good.
Professional wrestling is cool.
But still, yet early on, when Cody came out, he's like, the boys in the back or whatever are telling me to rush this.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I thought was
There were
hilarious.
so many inside references. McAfee got up on the table to do the
heat.
USO
He
thing.
was eating. Yes.
And when he came back from break, Michael Cole goes, "You're still blown up from being on the table." Like they have just ripped the curtain back, and now you know what it feels like now? Now it feels like a wrestling show. The best part of that though was when McIntyre referred to himself as the chosen one, and Punk went, "Who chose you?"
Oh yeah, that was good.
And he said,
that was good.
"What moral paragon chose you?"
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, damn."
Yeah.
That's incredible. Last night was, I actually watched it live last night. Last night was one of the best Monday Night Raws, Lonzo, in years.
Haven't made it through the whole thing because I'm old and also smart enough to know that if I stay up past a certain time, I will not be functional.
I won't tell you what went down. You already, I think, have an idea. The last segment featured Rock and Cody. And dude, I can't say it had Attitude Era vibes to it. I'm saying it is a segment that would have fit in the Attitude Era. It was the first time in a while. I'm show prepping while that segment's on. I reached over, closed the laptop, didn't save anything, just closed it. Fiance was in the bro cave. She's like, "Why'd you do that?" And I was like, "Shh, I'll tell you in a minute." Because I was locked in. It was incredible.
Well, I didn't watch the Attitude Era because I was watching WCW because the Attitude Era was too racy for small children.
Well,
to
I was
see.
12 and it was amazing.
Yeah. So the next thing that's Xing is Mothman. It's unfortunate why Mothman is trending.
Yeah, listen, the bridge thing going on in Baltimore, is it connected to that? I'm assuming
It is because apparently a lot of the sightings happened around that particular bridge, which was destroyed at 1:30 this morning by a ship that lost power and ran into the bridge, and this Francis Scott
Key Bridge.
Yeah, and took the entire bridge out.
So-
and I'm sure if you haven't seen it yet, just turn on the news.
It's horrifying,
yeah,
dude. It's horrifying to watch. It's horrifying to watch. You can see the headlights going down. It's horrifying to watch. And I will say this on a serious note. Like, I know we have our fun throwing fake theories out and all that. Anyone who is rushing to blame this on the Mothman, or to blame this on terrorists, or to blame this on Joe Biden, or blame this on Donald Trump, or blame this on anyone or anybody in particular. If you are rushing to create a narrative and an agenda with this, you're a gross person and you need to reevaluate your life. And I don't give a damn who you are. If you are, he's a terrorist, Joe Biden's fine. If you are doing any of that, you're gross and you need to reevaluate your life immediately.
And finally, because I said we would do it, P. Diddy still on the run as far as we know. 2 of his mansions, I think he may have more, but 2 of them were raided. His sons were arrested, and he flew to the Caribbean.
Oh, he's gone. Like,
Yeah.
they've confirmed he gone?
Well, yeah, that's what. It was a few hours ago, but yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know if he's been caught yet, but he hit the jet and jetted.
Last post from P. Diddy on Twitter comes from December 6th of last year, where he says, "For the last couple of weeks, I've sat silently and watched people try to assassinate my character, destroy my reputation and my legacy. Sickening allegations have been made against me by individuals looking for a quick payday. Let me be absolutely clear. I did not do any of the awful things being alleged, and I will fight for my name, my family, and the truth. Well, your name's getting dragged, your family's in jail, and you ran to the Caribbean. Not a great look, Puffy." We'll see you guys back here tomorrow to do it all over again, but better, on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate later. Yeah! The Fan Upstate.
Apparently, because I've seen this several times, Diddy had a video where he's running from, one of his videos, he's getting in his plane and running from cops that are coming down the runway, which is exactly what he just did. So maybe that was practice. I don't know.
That's real interesting. Real interesting.
Well, the things that he's allegedly done
Are not interesting.
They're not.
They're horrifying.
Yeah.
All right, dudes and dudettes, that's it for us. We getting on up out of here. I will be hosting on the BetQL Network this afternoon from 3 to 7. So if you're into the gambling, you're welcome to join me on You Better You Bet with PJ Glasser today, 3 to 7. That is coincidentally the exact same time of Wire to Wire with Cole Bryson and Diesel, which the live stream will be up on these exact same platforms, unless you're watching on my platforms, and then they won't, but you get it. Feel free to check out Cole and Diesel on Wire to Wire. And Lonzo and I will be back tomorrow to do more stuff.
Yeah, that thing that we just did, we're going to do it again tomorrow.
We did all that stuff. We're going to do even more stuff tomorrow. Have a lovely rest of your day. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. See you back here tomorrow. Goodbye.
I can't count. I can't count.